music.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
We won't be out long.
Take your time. Track's all yours.
You ready? The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready. Hit it.
Attaboy.
Let me drive. I won't make a fool out of you.
I got a message for all of them. Shake and bake.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
These cars, you sit in a box, a coffin, gasoline all around you. It isn't like it being inside a bomb.
It's tough enough being a girl on the track. Living in my dad's shadow doesn't help much.
You have to be kind to the car. You feel the poor thing groaning underneath you.
No race was ever won in the first corner.
I'm gonna give you an engine, low to the ground, extra big oil pan will cut the wind from underneath you. That'll give you 30 to 40 more horsepower.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
Brakes are warm. Tires are warm.
I'll work in the cars and I'll drive and I'll eat and sleep and I'll work in the cars and I'll drive.
Damn fast, and when you run so close together, it requires fantastic concentration and rather special skills.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
If you're going to push a piece of machinery to the limit and expect it to hold together, you have to have some sense of where that limit is.
Besides, the best drivers don't dwell on the future or the past. The best drivers focus only on the present.
They could never have imagined it. Those pioneers who invented the automobile, that it would possess us like this in our imaginations, our dreams.
I'm gonna give you a fuel line that will hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm gonna shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
Racing is in my blood. I was put on this earth to race cars.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die, and I can live with it, but not 1% more.
No, Nicky, don't bring the percentages into this. Don't be a pro. The minute you do that, you kill what's good about this. You kill the sport.
And at that speed, your reactions can barely keep up with these sudden changes in direction.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up?
You want me to work the pit and you drive? Fine, we'll try that.
The car's a living, breathing thing, and she's alive.
If any of us imagined, really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
I am just as good as anybody out there on that track, and I don't need anybody to win my races for me.
I wish my daddy were alive to see this, to feel this.
And when we get you prime painted and weighed, you'll be ready to go out on that racetrack. You hear me? You're gonna be perfect.
You don't understand what happens, do you? They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
So it has always seemed to me that to do something very dangerous requires a certain absence of imagination.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated by the hands of somebody who is truly better than you.
The only thing to do here is to drive just as fast as you know how and hope your car doesn't break.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
If you ain't first, you're last.
There's 40 other vultures out there who managed to finish the race on their tires. You see Darrell Waltrip using up his tires?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
I mean, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? I mean, come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
Sometimes you could swear the whole thing's falling to bits.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
On the other hand, I suppose potential problems are in the back of your mind all the time.
So in many ways, I feel responsible for what happened. And
You were, but trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
You're so lucky. Sit there all closed in by machinery and bolts, precise things. There's hardly any room for you. It must be a nice, safe feeling.
Yeah, you gotta learn to trust something. Might just as well be the seat of your pants.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, just waiting.
Well, we can drive. We can drive beyond the limits of the tires, the engine, the car, anything else.
Look out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes, every gear change, every corner, perfect. You see it.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But it isn't just business, is it?
what we do. It's passion, love, which is why we're prepared to risk our lives for it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Why does everybody keep telling me what my problem is?
That you get so emotional.
You would never, ever say that to a guy.
If you don't leave your feelings off the track, you're never going to get what you want.
I'm a race driver, and I can win it on my own.
Please let me race.
Fine. Then let's race.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Retro Racing Managers League. It's time for the 1990 British Grand Prix in our continuing Grand Prix 2 World Championship Retro Racing Managers League series. I'm Jake Sanson, beside me is Dave Goddard. We are at the midway point and we're at the home of British Motorsport. Dave, what a place to go racing.
Hello Jake, hello ladies and gents, great to be here at the home of British Motorsport here at Silverstone. We've had a cracking last few races. We're on one of the fastest circuits in the whole of the Retro Racing Managers League and I am really looking forward to today's races.
So we've got 6 different winners out of 7 now. Gerhard Berger, Nelson Piquet, Mika Häkkinen, Ayrton Senna, Jean Alesi and Thierry Boutsen. The winning teams, McLaren, Benetton, Brabham, Tyrrell and Williams. And it's still not really clear who's going to be mounting a title attack. And of course, last time out at the French Grand Prix, Dave, Alain Prost stormed out of the Ferrari camp, was not happy with the lack of finishes and lack of performance. He stormed off, threw his toys out of the pram, and he has joined Brabham for the remaining half of the season. So he and Stefano Modena have swapped seats. It's Prost to Brabham, Modena to Ferrari. What do you make of that, Dave?
Well, Well, freely admit, I've no idea what's going to happen today. Prost, an unknown quantity in the Martini Brabham alongside young Mika Häkkinen. We've already seen what he can do this season. There's going to be a bit of inter-team rivalry, I think, there. We have now, of course, got an all-Italian lineup for Ferrari at the moment. Stefano Modena joining them and Gianni Morbidelli in for the injured Nigel Mansell. That thankfully hasn't had a huge impact on crowd figures today. Nigel Mansell, one of the British heroes of Grand Prix racing, unfortunately out injured, of course. But great to see a big crowd here at Silverstone and a few other unknown quantities as well. Tyrrell particularly impressive so far with Jean Alesi and their new recruit Heinz-Harald Frentzen.
And he is, of course, here this weekend, Nigel Mansell. You mentioned him, so it's good to see him still in and around. There have been a few changes since last time out, notably here in the Retro Racing Managers League in particular. A few of the GoBobber.UK Cup pre-qualifying teams have had to make some changes. Obviously, last time out we saw Martin Donnelly getting into the Eurobrun. He remains there alongside Juan Fangio II. We've also got some changes in the light of Yannick Dalmas and Michael Schumacher. Yannick Dalmas of the AGS team and Michael Schumacher of Reynard. They have both picked up light injuries after their problems at the French Grand Prix. So Dalmas is being replaced by his reserve driver, the test driver for the AGS team. That is the Colombian Roberto Guerrero. And then Michael Schumacher is being replaced just for the British Grand Prix. He will be back next time out on his home turf in Germany. But it's Michael Andretti who gets back into the AGS. More dramatic, though, Dave, of course, is that last time out in France, Gerhard Berger, the championship leader, picked up a 3-race ban for another infringement at the start of a race. That's the second time this season, so they decided to throw the book at him, banned him for 3 races, and it's their Mexican test driver, Giovanni Aloy, who is going to be the new man in at McLaren. How on earth is that going to go?
I've no idea. He's a new name to me, Giovanni Aloy. We've briefly seen him in Italian Formula 3 and also in a couple of F3000 races, the Mexican, but he's a complete unknown quantity in the Burger King McLaren. Gerhard Berger being banned for 3 races was he's been rather made an example of by the stewards, but it certainly shows that they are cracking down on ungentlemanly behaviour on track at the moment. So it'll be up to Ayrton Senna to lead the McLaren Challenge, I would think, today in the main race. But of course, we have first got the GoBobby.UK Cup race, where the top 3 teams go through to the main event.
Indeed we do. So let's talk you through the grid. Obviously, as Dave mentioned, only the first 3 teams across the line go through to the grid of the British Grand Prix. It's Martin Brundle and Pierluigi Martini for Minardi on the front row of the grid, Aguri Suzuki in the Lola and Joachim Winkelhock in the Zaxby. Then it's Piercarlo Ghinzani, his teammate. Johnny Herbert in the Dallara is next up. Then Roland Ratzenberger and Michael Andretti in the 2 Reynards. Bruno Giacomelli down in 9th and Okio Katayama in the Coloni is there in 10th. Then it's Mark Blundell and Damon Hill, a pair of Brits on the 6th row. Paul Warwick going well for Porsche, only 4/10 off the pace with Willie T. Ribbs there in 14th place for Real. Zanardi in the Osella, Irvine in the 2nd Real. Then it's Bertrand Gachot in the 2nd Coloni. He comes in to replace Mike Thackwell for the remainder of the season. Alain Menu in the Porsche, JJ Leto and Martin Donnelly, Eric Bernard and Juan Fangio the 2nd. Then Alan McNish, Christian Fittipaldi, and then it's Gabriele Tarquini and Roberto Guerrero in the 2 AGS cars at the back of the grid. So we are ready to rock and roll. It is going to be a fabulous battle. 33 laps of this Silverstone circuit, 1 mandatory pit stop. And the battle is obviously going to be very tight to call. The Minardis, 1st and 2nd. They've qualified a few times this year. Can they do it again here at Silverstone? The lights go out. We're racing at the British Grand Prix pre-qualifier. Winkelhock's got a good start. A terrible start for Martini as he bogs down on the line. Brundle gets a perfect start, though, on home soil as the field swarms down towards Copse. And it's Winkelhock who gets the lead, Dave. Brilliant start.
That was a phenomenal start by Joachim Winkelhock. Clearly his confidence buoyed by his victory in France last time. I've got 1 car in the gravel towards the back. That looks like Bruno Giacomelli, one of the championship pace setters in the Larus Lola. We'll see what happened there.
Let's have a look at a replay down into Copse corner. Was he hit by somebody else? Yes, he was, I do believe. Yes, he got nudged not once, but twice, and he's got damage into the gravel trap he goes, and now he's got to wait for his moment. We're going to try and have a look at it again on board with one of the drivers behind. Blundell gets a good start, so he overtakes. Is it Damon Hill that goes into the back? Oh, well, he got nerfed himself, and it's the 2 Reals that hit each other, Irvine and Ribbs, that hit each other, and they went into the back of Giacomelli. So that's why the Italian now finds himself down at the back with a broken front wing. That is, he's got away without damage. Well, that's very fortuitous, as Winkelhock leads from Brundle, Ghinzani, Suzuki, and Johnny Herbert, but the 2 Reals have collided, and it looks as though at least one of them has picked up damage. That's Eric Bernard in the Monteverdi just in front, and there's problems in front. Oh, there's been a big shunt. There's been a big shunt.
That's coming on to the hangar straight. Alain Menu involved. That's one of the Porsches. The green machine there. Let's have a look again in replay. He's coming up on one of the Reals again. Goodness me, how did he not roll over there? Alain Menu takes off over the back wheel of one of the Reals. Real getting involved in a lot of incidents on the opening laps here. It was Eddie Irvine, by the look of it, the Northern Irish. And look at the height of that car up there, and very nearly taking out one of the Euro Bruns as well. It's a big incident for Alain Menu, the Swiss driver in the Porsche.
It was Irvine who's got damage, and look, Menu's gone for the move on the inside, and Irvine's shut the door on him. So it was very lucky indeed that Menu, he's got front wing damage, but I think in essence, the car is still mobile. It's still got all 4 wheels, despite the height he got. So Alain Menu in the Porsche should be able to keep going, but Irvine definitely now in trouble with the stewards. What is Menu playing at there? That's not good recovery driving, but Winkelhock at the end of the first lap continues on his way. Brundle, Ghinzani, Suzuki, Herbert, Andretti and Ratzenberger, then Katayama in the Coloni, Martini, Blundell, Ribbs and Damon Hill.
Yes, Willie T. Ribbs still up there in 11th place as we watch the 2 Cadbury Reynards battling. Watch out for Michael Andretti, the American, making his return to Grand Prix racing. He's been racing in IndyCar in recent times. The reserve driver, of course, replacing the injured young German Michael Schumacher. But it's another German up front, Joachim Winkelhock, for the West Zach Speed team managed by Mike Pittman. Looking further back down the order, there's Damon Hill, son of a world champion father, of course, racing for the Converse BMS Scuderia Italia team. Eddie Irvine has come in to repair that damage. So he was slowing. That's how that accident happened on the opening lap. Eddie Irvine was slowing with that damaged front wing. And because Menu was unsighted coming out of Chapel, he hit the back of him, and that's what launched him into the air. Menu into the pits as well.
So, Menu in the pits, his teammates in the middle of this midfield battle. We've got Ribbs and Hill, Willie T. Ribbs and Damon Hill having a great battle. We're on board with Alessandro Zanardi in the Lego Acela as we fly through the left-hander and under the bridge up towards Woodcote. And this is going to be very tight indeed. Oh dear. Good battle up the inside there from Gasho, who returns to the Grand Prix racing world, having been on the sidelines for the majority of the season. And that's Alan McNish in the life getting it a little bit crossed up as he locks up into the final corner. But Winkelhock leads the way.
Alan McNish in the Life. Life have been struggling a bit in recent races. They have qualified once for the main event in a Grand Prix weekend this year. The only two teams that haven't, if I remember rightly, are Reynard and AGS, and they're struggling a bit again so far today as we ride with the other of the Porsches. That's Paul Warwick, currently running 12th.
Oh, that's Andretti. Andretti is pulling aside, so Andretti's got a problem of some kind. Andretti, I think, is slowing. Yes, indeed he is. So Andretti, on only lap 3 of his return, has got gearbox failure as the field comes up towards him and they all storm past the Reynard. That was very close indeed. But Andretti, I think, really, he's trying to find a gear, but he was playing with fire there. I think he was trying to find a decent Marshall post to park up at as well, but unfortunately Michael Andretti's return to Grand Prix racing in the pre-qualifier, the Go Bobbitt UK Cup, lasts not even 3 laps.
Martin Brundle has just done the fastest lap of the race, taking that from Aguri Suzuki, so the Minardi could be on the move. He's 1.25 seconds behind Joe Winkelhock, and smoke out of the back of one of the Reals there. That's Willie T. Ribbs, the American, in trouble. Real not having a happy race at all so far.
No, indeed. Irvine and Ribbs actually tangled on the first corner of the first lap, and now Willie T. Ribbs in trouble again. So more problems for the American. He has the speed and the talent. We've seen it a few times this year, but the car just doesn't have the ability to get up to that same might of Willie T. Ribbs' own determination and ambition, and that's the biggest problem he's got at the moment as he ploughs down the hangar straight. Oh, so nearly got clouted there by the Eurobrun of, I think that one would have been Fangio the second. The rest of the field swarms round, but Willie T. Ribbs again. Now, this isn't the first time he's had problems getting off the race circuit. And for 1991, these sort of shenanigans are going to be sorted out, because for 1991, Dave, there's a new licensing system for drivers' license points that are going to come in. So that's obviously going to correct a few of the balance problems there with drivers' discretions. But Willie T. Ribbs well and truly out of the race for the Real team as we ride on board with Mark Blundell in the Lego Acela as he storms down through Maggots and into Beckett's corner, the right-hander. And JJ Leto has come into the pits. Now that is unscheduled. Why is Leto in the pits? We'll have to look. He's got an electrical problem. Well, that's definitely going to hamper his chances. So a bit of a difficulty there, unfortunately. And it's going to give him a real concern there, but back out of the pits again. Now here's Brundle in the Minardi, under the bridge. Sweeps his way through, and here's Damon Hill now attacking Paul Warwick. 2 young feisty Brits, and that got very close indeed. Damon Hill had to back out of it. Well defended by Paul Warwick in the Porsche as Roland Ratzenberger loses the back end of the car. Oh dear, Reynard's day has gone from bad to worse, and yet again it looks like they're not going to qualify. What a shame.
So Reynard again having trouble. Sorry, I was away there for a second.
It's okay.
So Reynard in trouble again. They haven't qualified so far this year, as you mentioned earlier, and trying to get going again there. The car of Roland Ratzenberger, the young Austrian, is Johnny Herbert. Could be on for a qualifying place if his luck holds out. The British driver, we saw him appear for Benetton last season, of course. Don't forget, it's the top 3 teams that go through at present. That is the Zach Speed squad. In the lead of the race, it's Minardi in second. In 4th place, we have the LaRousse Lola of Aguri Suzuki. His teammate Giacomelli has fought his way back up to 13th following that opening lap spin. There's Piercarlo Ginzani, the Italian, and he's announced his retirement at the end of this season in 3rd place.
He's lapping the Porsche. So that just shows you how much time Alain Menu lost. Menu is now being lapped by Ghinzani in the Zach speed. It shows you just how much time he's lost. There's Martini having a go at Katayama. Not going to happen. The young Japanese is proving to be quite a feisty customer. He won a race earlier in the year, don't forget, Ukyo Katayama. He won the GoBobby.UK Cup in Brazil, the second race of the season. And obviously he's been able to ride the crest of the wave he's on at the moment. There's Herbert getting the move on the Porsche of Alain Menu to lap him. And Suzuki just can't quite get close enough to Ghinzani to challenge for that third place. Here's Fangio going side by side with his teammate. That is Martin Donnelly, and he's managed to get through past the Irishman.
There go the Euro runs a little further down the order, 14th and 15th at the moment. On board with Piercarlo Ghinzani, goes down under the bridge out towards Woodcuts. Here's the Life pairing further back in the order. Just a couple of retirements so far. Ribbs and Andretti, the two Americans. Alain Menu still going a lap down, having repaired his damage.
Blundell.
He's got a problem.
Yep,
Getting to the pits, is he? No.
I don't think he can make it. Yeah, gearbox failure for the Osella. That's a real shame. And Blundell having to pull off there before he could even make it to the pits. Oh, and that's the Porsche of Paul Warwick. Now, that's a very precarious position for Blundell. Hopefully he's going to be okay. But I wonder if there was miscommunication there on the radio. He thought maybe I could bring it into the pits, but then he thought, well, maybe I've got a gear again, and then it seized completely. But the marshals are on the scene quickly, jumping over the wall, and Mark Blundell, rather sadly, in his home race, is out. That's a shame.
That's a great shame, yes, for the Lego Osella team of Ed Hunter. Alessandro Zanardi in 12th place now, upholding his hopes. So Zach Speed, Minardi and Larousse, the teams on to qualify at the moment. Scuderia Italia, by Converse, just behind them. Then it's Colonia, Ukyo Katayama, who has a race win to his name in the GoBobby.UK Cup in the second race of the year. We've only had two-time winners in this section of the weekend, Pierluigi Martini and Bruno Giacomelli. They're currently first and second in the points table. They're separated by 10 points. Martini, is he in trouble there? Yes, he's pulling off.
Well, what
has happened to the Minardi?
Oh, it's a blown engine. It's not for the first time this year, but the Minardi is not bulletproof. And unfortunately for Pierluigi Martini, it is game over at Silverstone. So that is unfortunate.
Commentators curse there for Pierluigi. Sorry to the Martini team, the Minardi team. Sorry of Michael Gillespie.
Well, that's a difficulty. And Donnelly has come into the pits, and that looks like he's got a brake issue. So that is not good news from his point of view either. So not a great day at the office then for quite a few drivers in the field. So Donnelly will be able to continue, but I don't think they've added fuel. Oh, and that's Bernard coming off. Now, Bernard, what's happened to Eric Bernard? Because he's gone off the circuit there. And I'd quite like to see what's happened to him. But it doesn't look as though we're going to. He's pulled off the circuit at exactly the same time as Martini. So that's another retirement, and it's Eric Bernard for the Monteverdi squad. That is unfortunate.
So they've already lost about half a dozen cars so far then in this rather chaotic GoBobby.UK Cup race. Reminded in the YouTube comments at the moment that Willie T. Ribbs is on a suspended ban. That could be triggered here today as with a throttle problem there. Who's that coming in?
It's Herbert.
That is Johnny Herbert, who was fifth. So one of the Dalaras in trouble. And already Scott Woodwitz, the manager of the Porsche team, is saying he may have to bench Alain Menu for a race. He hasn't been as strong as Paul Warwick, so possible rumours of driver changes there.
Yeah, it's been one of those factors over the course of the season. We've had several drivers be benched for a couple of races in the season just based on a string of poor performance. It sometimes is the making of drivers, though. Sometimes it's where you tend to get those moments. What Michael Gillespie of the Minardi team has pointed out, though, he's the team boss, it's actually Martini's first retirement of the 1990 season. And there's the other one! There's Brundle!
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, no! For once, Minardi are not going to qualify for the British Grand Prix. They don't even last half distance in the Go Bobby Cup. Well, that is unbelievable luck for Martin Brundle and the Minardi team. 2 engines have gone here at Silverstone. And it's one of those circuits that really does put a massive strain on the engines because, of course, they're on full throttle for the majority of the lap here at Silverstone. So if anything is going to break, it's going to be the engine, isn't it? It's a real power circuit.
Yes, indeed. And well, Minardi sponsored by Glenfiddich. I think the whole team is going to be reaching for the whiskey right now as Roland Ratzenberger tries to make a move there on one of the life cars. Here's Bertrand Gachot. He's up to 5th on his return to the Coloni team. He's running well. Then we see one of the AGSs. That's Gabriele Tarquini. They've had a poor season so far at AGS. The only team other than Reynard not to qualify for a Grand Prix this year. Chasing there, Damon Hill. So it's Winkelhock by nearly 5 seconds now from Suzuki. Ginzani in 3rd place. Then Katayama and Gachot to Coloni's 4th and 5th. They could be in a position to qualify at the moment. I'm not saying too much more because I'll put the commentator's curse on there.
Yeah, it's looking good at the moment for the 3 teams up front. Zach Speed, Lola and Coloni, but we all know from past experience that just because you're running in the top 3 teams at 1/3 distance, that makes no difference as to whether or not you'll finish there or not. It's got to be when you cross the line at the end of the completed distance of 33 laps. It's going to be a short day of racing today at Silverstone because there's a lot of support series on the bill this weekend. So obviously with the circuit being very fast as well, it's worth bearing in mind that 65 laps for the British Grand Prix later are going to absolutely fly by. It's going to be one of the fastest races of the year. And these guys know just how tough it's going to be as Eddie Irvine pits in. Now, I think that is scheduled. It is indeed. So Irvine will now go to the end of the race. And he is the first of the drivers in the race to go for a scheduled pit stop. So there are still several others out there who are going to go a little bit further into the race. There's JJ Leto, who had his problems earlier on. And so the Monteverde is back out on circuit doing its best. There's Suzuki, having just lapped one of the Eurobruns. I think that is Martin Donnelly he's just got past, the Irishman, who was at Lotus a few races ago, but unfortunately he's been rested and put down to Eurobrun. Here's McNish trying to make his bid for Tarquini. That's brave, but even the young 20-year-old is not going to be able to pull that one off on the Italian up front.
We've just had some news come in from the boss of the Cadbury Reynard team, Will Knights. For the next round in Germany, Michael Schumacher will return from injury, but he will be replacing Roland Ratzenberger. It will be Michael Andretti and Michael Schumacher driving. Roland Ratzenberger will be moved to reserve. That's breaking news from the Cadbury Reynard team.
Very interesting. So Ratzenberger is currently in P12. I wonder if he knows that yet. We know it before he does, and that's quite a bitter pill for the Austrian to swallow. He's been doing a fair job over the course of the season, but clearly in the eyes of team boss Will Knight of the Reynard squad, it's time to bench him and see what he does on the sidelines as Andretti and Schumacher get their chance to shine. Now, here's Eddie Irvine trying to fight back after a throttle problem, and it's a really bad day at the office for the Real team, but Eddie Irvine with hopes still reigning high. And the Northern Irishman from Belfast is trying to work his way further forward up the order once more. Now, it's Winkelhock and Suzuki, Ginzani and Katayama, and then his teammate Gachot running in 5th place. A great comeback, I have to say, for the Belgian. You picked up on it earlier. And then in 6th place, it is Paul Warwick in the Porsche. Another great run for him.
Yes, Porsche improving all the time. Well, Warwick improving, Alain Menu struggling, but moving past Menu, as you say, that is one of the Coloni's to put a lap in him. Coloni having a good run here at Silverstone. Just had a message from Sam Hall, the boss of the Tyrrell team. He says he's willing to loan Ricard Rydell to the Porsche team if they wish to bench Alain Menu.
Certainly
so
is.
News updates coming in.
Now, if the interesting point to note about Porsche is if Alain Menu were to be rested from the German Grand Prix onwards, as is being hinted there by Porsche, then that would give the young Canadian star Paul Tracy a charge in the car. Now, he's an IndyCar racer at the present moment in time. He's only just really been starting his career up the ladder of the American scene, but it'll be interesting to see what the Canadian can do, as there is Alain Menu. The Porsche was only a second off the pace of pole position in his hands, but interestingly, Paul Warwick was only 0.4 of a second away from pole position in his Porsche. So a gap of 0.6 of a second between teammates is quite a large gap there, Dave, and maybe that's why they're trying to give Paul Tracy a chance.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see. He's quite a volatile character from what I gather, the Canadian driver. You see JJ Leto there in the Monteverde.
Well, as long as he put... I was just going to say, with Paul Tracy, as long as he puts bums on seats and points on the board, I'm sure everybody will be happy about it.
Yes, he certainly will do that. He's an interesting character. He's Paul. I've been following the IndyCar scene over the last couple of years. JJ Leto, the sole surviving Monteverde now, with Eric Bernard out of the race. Soon to be lapped by race leader Joe Winkelhock.
Zach Speed have had an
very famous in international motorsport, especially in sports car racing over the years.
Yeah, Zach Speed have had an amazing resurgence over the last couple of races. They brought their updates to France, and their cars have got massive horsepower injection. And now Winkelhock and Ghinzani are right up at the front end, and it looks like it's going to be a permanent transition. We wondered if it was just for Paul Ricard, but no, for Silverstone and Hockenheim, of course, which are also big power circuits. They're obviously going to continue on a very strong run. There is Joe Winkelhock coming into shot as he tries to close up on JJ Leto in the Monteverde. Here's Ghinzani, and we're about the point now where drivers will be thinking about their one-stop strategy. It's a mandatory pit stop in the GoBobby.UK Cup. So Emma Featherstone needing clarification on what happened to her, but he had a brake issue, I believe. So he came into the pits for repairs. He is only in 10th though, so that's not bad going considering the Dallara package being as competitive as it is. He's still in P10, so you've got Hill and Herbert now in the top 10, behind the Porsche of Paul Warwick, and in between them you've got Giacomelli in the Lola and Zanardi in the sole remaining Lego Osella. There is Martin Donnelly, who unfortunately has not been able to keep the Eurobrun up in the top 15 for the moment. And it's Fangio, his teammate, who is up in 11th position at present. So a very good run for him. Ratzenberger's in 12th, then Tarquini and Guerrero, the two AGS cars. McNish is in 15th, then it's Fittipaldi, Leto, Donnelly, Menu and Irvine. We've lost Brundle, Martini, Bernard, Blundell, Ribbs and Andretti. And we almost lost Irvine again there, who is down in 20th, down at the back after his moment. And Winkelhock missing a gear there. That's a bit of a worry for the race leader as he came through Beckett's. The car really started to sound a bit sorry and sick as into the pits comes Gasho, and I think that's scheduled. Yes, it is. So this is the first scheduled pit stop among the leaders, Dave.
Yes, indeed. Let's see how long this one takes for the returnee for Coloni. 9.3 seconds, not bad. Take him through to the end of this race. Coloni looking confident here, as is Island, Japan's Aguri Suzuki. He was a Zach Speed driver last season, never once qualified for a Grand Prix. He's had better fortune this year. He's third in the GoBobby.UK Cup points, behind Martini and Giacomelli. But Martini, of course, out of the race. Giacomelli back up into 7th, and challenging here, Damon Hill for 6th position in the Scuderia Italia car. So look as they come up towards the left-hander. Here's our leader, Joe Winkelhock. 5 seconds ahead of Suzuki now, and that was close. Giacomelli on the back of Hill.
Now, Giacomelli is one of those drivers who seems to have been racing in Formula One since the late Middle Ages, but of course he is one of the more successful drivers in Alfa Romeo's Formula One history. Got a couple of podiums for them back in the 80s, and obviously it's been a long time since he's had his run at the front, but Giacomelli's still bringing good technical expertise and wisdom to a small team like Lola. I wonder how long his career has left in it, though, because Giacomelli obviously is... he's still proven he's pretty worthy, but there's always got to be that moment when you start to think about when old Father Time catches up with you. A fair few drivers have already thought about that one, and we've had several drivers decide to walk away, including, as you mentioned, Piergallo Ghinzani at the end of the season. Now, I wonder if he could be persuaded the way things have suddenly transformed as Winkelhock comes into the pits from the race lead. So Winkelhock is in the pits. We haven't got to the beginning of this pit stop, unfortunately, but also in is Suzuki. So Winkelhock and Suzuki pitting together. And Winkelhock... Oh, he's got to wait! He's got to wait! Oh, that was not a good exit either. Goodness me.
That was the Eurobrun team, I think, that nearly collided with there. Katayama is in as well. They're all pouring in. So Ghinzani takes the lead of the race. Paul Warwick's in as well in the Porsche.
Oh, well, what's happened here? That's the Porsche coming in, and unfortunately it's impeded the progress of Ukyo Katayama.
Yeah. A real messy pit stop. It was like a bank holiday traffic jam there.
Certainly was. Giacomelli has now got through past Winkelhock for 3rd place on the road. So Ghinzani leads, but has yet to stop. Hill is 2nd, has yet to stop. Giacomelli is 3rd, has yet to stop. Winkelhock is now 3rd because he has got past Giacomelli. So he's got through. And that's why Giacomelli's got a puncture.
So that will put Larousse Lola in danger here. It'll depend on Suzuki. Let's see where he's come back out. He's behind Zanardi in the Osella now.
That's about...
He's not going to make it back.
No, he's not. He's tried his best to, but unfortunately the car is well and truly destroyed at the rear quarter, which is unfortunate because the car might have been able to get back had there been a better opportunity to. And into the pits comes Damon Hill. So Damon Hill comes in for his scheduled stop. Zanardi is in as well. And it leaves Piercarlo Ghinzani leading the race and going through traffic as he passes the Reynard of Roland Ratzenberger. And Ghinzani is due in the pit this lap. So Ghinzani will give the lead back to his teammate very shortly indeed. And, what on earth is going on there? That's Ratzenberger trying to unlap himself, Dave.
Maybe he's heard the news from Will Knight that we relayed earlier, and he's taking out his frustrations on the car ahead of him. That's the only thing I think is going on there. And
he's unlapped himself. He's managed it. Well, fair play to Roland Ratzenberger. Goodness me.
Roberto Guerrero into the pits. His AGS, his first Grand Prix appearance since, I think it was 1983. We last saw him in Grand Prix. He's been in IndyCar since then. In comes Ghinzani from the race lead.
So with Ghinzani now pitting, this needs to be about 8 seconds maximum. He doesn't need any longer than that. 8.3, it's not bad. But he could have done with a slightly quicker stop as in comes Herbert for his stop. I think Katayama is going to go through into third place though, Dave, as Winkelhock leads Suzuki second. Katayama should go through into third place based on his position on track. And we're about to see, I think the Coloni is going to go through. Only just, but there it goes.
Yeah, so Katayama up into third place. So it's Zach Speed leading the way. Aguri Suzuki second place in the La Lola, and Katayama third in the Coloni, looking to qualify for the first time in a few races here. I haven't seen Coloni into a Grand Prix over the last couple of weekends. As meantime, on board with Gabriele Tarquini as the Zach Speed goes through there. Alan McNish comes into the pits in the Life. As Alain Menu still going, his race ruined by that first lap incident with Willie T. Ribbs in the Real. Another frustrating day for Porsche, although Paul Warwick still there in sixth behind Bertrand Gachot. And behind him, Damon Hill seventh in the BMS Scuderia Italia. Alessandro Zanardi in the Lego Rossella is eighth. Johnny Herbert ninth after his problem early on. Van Fangio the second up there in 10th place in the Eurobrun, going well at the moment.
That is a good performance from Fangio, to be fair, and he's one of the drivers who's has obviously had question marks over his services for 1991. As up the inside comes Ratzenberger to take the place, and I don't think he managed to make that one stick as Guerrero had a bit of a moment there. The producers obviously wanted us to look at it. Here is that battle for 10th place and the final point in the Go Bobbit UK Cup, which is purely for drivers, not for teams. And there's Ratzenberger trying again on Fangio. Great racing between these two, and Fangio the second, the nephew of the 5 times world champion from the 1950s, and Roland Ratzenberger, who's now trying to come around the outside, gets his foot flat to the floor. Fangio chops across. This is terrific racing.
I'm wondering if Will Knight might want to revise his earlier statement here, because Ratzenberger is going like a steam train here on the back of
and he's through.
Fangio, and he's through. He's got him at Maggots. That's a brave move.
It takes one nerve of steel more than the next man to go for the inside line at Maggots. Flat on the throttle on the inside of the left-hander. And there's Paul Warwick, who's probably hoping that things are not well at Lola, because at the moment their car is second place. The 2 teams in front of him as well have 2 cars in each squad ahead. So both the Colonis and both of the Zach Speeds are ahead. He must be thinking if Suzuki's Lola drops out, the Porsche goes through to a Grand Prix for the second time this season after they managed to qualify in Mexico. And now they would really like to do so again here at Silverstone. Zanardi has gone out of the race, though. That's the water leak on the pit straight, I'm afraid. So the Acela is gone, and that means they won't qualify.
Yeah, their race is over because Blundell was already out with gearbox failure. Great shame for the Lego Osella team of Ed Hunter. Both his cars out of the race, coming to a halt in the pit lane exit here at Silverstone. Winkelhock still leads by 3 seconds. The Zach Speed ahead of the Larus Lola. The other Zach Speed further back, but only 0.4 of a second behind now is Katayama. So Ghinzani, that means, has got third place back again, because we saw Katayama ahead when Ghinzani exited the pits. So there's been a change there.
That's true. So Ghinzani has made the move out of sight of the cameras, unfortunately. We were too busy picking up on the retirement. And a fascinating bit of badinage in the midfield. Mac's Life says, any retirements? Yep, there's been a fair few. Zanardi, Giacomelli, Brundle, Martini, Bernard, Blundell, Ribbs and Andretti. So we've lost 8 of the 26 starters. 18 cars remain. And it's going to be a fascinating run as the competition continues here. Lap 25 of 33. We've only got 9 laps to go, but this is where a lot of the cars start to cough and splutter. And in fact, the Porsche is about to lose out here to Damon Hill. Damon Hill is pushing to try and get himself onto the grid for the British Grand Prix at his first attempt. And the son of the 3 times world champion is trying his best. Here we go. 2 times world champion, sorry, Graham Hill. And Damon Hill is trying to get it there. He hasn't quite managed it yet, but Paul Warwick, another young British star with a massive, massive future, is trying to make this happen. Damon Hill tries again into the chicane. No way. Paul Warwick holding his nerve.
There's a fair amount of sparks coming off that Porsche. Whether he's got an issue with the suspension, with the ride height, I'm not sure there, but he's staying ahead of Damon Hill there, Paul Warwick, as they battle. This battle is effectively on the bubble behind the 3 qualifying teams at the moment, as they would say in Indy 500 spec, and the lead gap is coming down a bit now. It's come down to 2.5 seconds between Winkelhock and Suzuki, on board with Roberto Guerrero. His return to Grand Prix racing in the AGS, getting past one of the Life cars there. That was Christian Fittipaldi, the Colombian driver, trying to move into the top 15.
It's great to see the Colombian back in Formula 1 racing for the first time in 7 years. And obviously the team feeling it was time to put him in the car after Yannick Dalmas, their first choice, picked up a light foot injury at the French Grand Prix when he ploughed into the back of Michael Schumacher's car. And that's Ukyo Katayama having a bit of a moment. So that is an interesting one. And it's going to be an interesting one as well, because apparently I'm hearing that Katayama is under investigation for an unsafe release out of the pit lane, because we saw there that he came, I think he actually clipped one of the Eurobrun mechanics in the pit lane there. So the Coloni team might be getting a little bit of a note there for an unsafe release.
Leader coming up on one of the Eurobrun cars as Damon Hill tries again on the back of Paul Warwick. Didn't make the move stick there. Here's Ratzenberger now in the points ahead of Eddie Irvine. And, he's got a puncture. Ratzenberger, what a shame. He's worked his tyres too hard. One of them has punctured. And he's possibly going to drop out of the points here. We'll wait and see. Irvine's gone through into 9th. But, Fangio into the points in 10th.
All that work that he did to get past Fangio. And it's all gone and done as he's picked up a puncture. Well, that could well put the kibosh on it for team boss Will Knight. That might confirm his opinions there, because he's pushed too hard and he's punctured the tyre as Gasho overcooks it a little bit there into the final couple of the corners of the lap. And Damon Hill has got past Warwick, I can tell you. Oh, and that's why! Oh, yet again, more bad luck for Porsche. More bad luck for the team. Paul Warwick has done his best, but the car just isn't quite there yet. And here at Silverstone, the technical expertise of the team is still being worked on, but Paul Warwick is out, and that's such a shame, because he was looking very rosy indeed for a qualification place today. But the young, talented British driver is out of luck on home soil, but he's shown everybody what he can do.
Scott Woodwitz, the boss of the Porsche team, is going to be absolutely gutted with that. They've had so much bad luck this year. That's the end of it for Porsche then, because Menu a long way behind after the first lap incident. Now here's second place man Suzuki. There is Johnny Herbert in 7th, 1 place behind his teammate now. So it's Irvine up to 8th. Fangio will go up to 9th. And AGS into the points. Gabriele Tarquini will go into 10th place for Tristan Digby in the AGS squadron. The lead gap has now gone up to 3.5 seconds. We've got Alan McNish back into the pit, so it looks like the Life may have a problem as well. He was 14th. Here's Alain Menu, still towards the tail of the field in the Quaker State sponsored Porsche. Coming up to lap in was the Coloni there, as Ratzenberger back out and going again like a dingbat after changing that tyre. He's angry, you can see it, the Austrian coming up on the Eurobrun there.
Looks like he's trying to unlap the Coloni as well of Bertrand Gachot. I think he's got a bee in his bonnet.
There, my apologies.
No, it's fine. It looks like he's got a bee in his bonnet, and he wants to put them all to shame here, as Katayama is now lapping the Eurobrun himself, the Japanese driver. So that's going to be investigated. And here's Ratzenberger sweeping past Martin Donnelly. No problem at all there for the Reynard to get through into 12th place, as he's on his comeback drive. We're on the top of the roll hoop of Roberto Guerrero's AGS, looking down on the road as he comes through once again. An interesting battle for the competitors here at Silverstone on the way in the British Grand Prix, which is the race after this one, but it looks as though it's going to be Zach Speed, Lola and Coloni that get through to the British Grand Prix, and that's not bad considering that for Coloni in particular, the last time they qualified for a Grand Prix was Brazil, the second race of the year.
Yes, that was a win for Katayama on his debut, of course. There is Ginzani, for so long an Ocella driver, now with the Zach Speed team. He's been for Ligier in the past as well. We'll see the Ligiers out later on. There's a battle there between Porsche, AGS and the Coloni getting through as well. This is Alain Menu trying to make a move on Roberto Guerrero, the 14th place, and he goes through. It's our second place Maniguri Suzuki, the Lone Larus Lola. After those problems earlier on for his teammates Giacomelli.
Oh, contact!
That's one of the lights. It's Christian Fittipaldi. I think he survived that.
Well, he's just driven himself straight back into the gravel trap. Damon Hill almost tripped over those two. And in fact, I think Damon Hill actually nerfed him. Into the side of the AGS, and that's what's put him into a spin. Let's have another look at it on board. So here's Damon Hill into the corner. Yes, look, he's nudged him. He did nudge him into the AGS. That is not good news for the man who is on the verge of qualifying for the British Grand Prix if all goes his way, as Fittipaldi has to recover.
Has he got damage to the front suspension? No, I think he's just about got away with that. The Fila-sponsored Life gets going. Fittipaldi running well down the order, of course, but team boss Tom Cairns, I don't think will be very pleased with that. Damon Hill still going. He hasn't lost a place, although teammate Johnny Herbert is right on his tail now. There's only 7 cars on the lead lap. We have got 2 laps to go after the conclusion of this one for Joachim Winkelhock, looking for his second win in succession in the West. Zach Speed, as Kyo Katayama comes up to lap JJ Leto, running in 10th place. Katayama, can he catch Ginzani for a podium here? I think he's going to run out of laps. He's a couple of seconds behind Giancarlo at the moment.
Now, I'm being told that Coloni is being given a £100,000 fine for an unsafe release from the pit lane. Now, that's devastating for the Coloni team, but obviously... Oh, that is the other Porsche! That's the other Porsche! No, dear, oh dear. Bad to worse for Porsche, as if it wasn't bad enough that one car was out of the race. Now the other one's gone as well. And there it is, Alain Menu having fought his way back. Well, it's been a long season for the team boss, Scott Woodwis. There are rumours about whether he'll be at the helm again in 1991 for the team, or whether he will decide to move to another team, which is genuinely possible, of course. But with 2 laps to go, it's all come undone for Porsche, and they've come even closer than usual this time around to getting the job done. It's very unfortunate from their point of view. So, very difficult indeed. So, very unfortunate for Scott Woodwis and the team.
Emma Featherstone, the boss of Converse BMS Scuderia Italia, says that she agrees with Hill being under investigation, saying that she says, I could say he braked too early so Damon went into the back of him, but that would be an excuse. So Emma not happy with her driver there.
And I'm being told that he will receive a 10-second penalty for that manoeuvre. And that is definitely going to hamper their chances of qualification, isn't it? As we go into the last lap. And Joe Winkelhock is on the verge of sealing the deal for the second race in a row for the Zach Speed team. A brilliant performance from Joe Winkelhock. He's kept the car pushing. They may not have the most reliable, but when the car is fast, Yamaha are definitely getting things very, very strong indeed. And it is all done and dusted for this Go Bobbitt UK Cup race as Joe Winkelhock takes the victory and puts Zach Speed into the race. Only 1.7 seconds in the end ahead of Aguri Suzuki. Now, the interesting question is going to be Damon Hill's penalty. That will only drop him behind his teammate as Ginzani comes through for 3rd. Katayama should come through in the Coloni for 4th, and that puts them into their first Grand Prix since Brazil.
Excellent stuff. That was a measured race from Coloni. Of course, they do have the fine hanging over them, but that matters not. Now they go up into the main race along with Larus Lola and Zach Speed. Great 5th place for Gasho for Coloni as well. The BMS Scuderia Italia team just miss out. They'll take 6th and 7th, although the penalty has to be applied to Damon Hill, of course. Behind them, Eddie Irvine in the Real, salvaging from a disappointing start to this race. And then Eurobrun in the points, Fangio 9th and Ratzenberger 10th in the Reynard.
So a fantastic result and a brilliant end to racing here. There's Joe Winkelhock, your winner. At the top of the table, Aguri Suzuki second for Lola, and then third, Piercarlo Ghinzani. The two Colonis are fourth and fifth. Those are the three teams then that go through. Brilliant stuff. Sixth place for Damon Hill, seventh for Johnny Herbert, eighth for Eddie Irvine, ninth for Fangio, 10th for Ratzenberger, then Leto, Donnelly, Tarquini and Guerrero, Fittipaldi and McNish, and then obviously Alain Menu at the back of the field after his retirement, although he does still, of course, take a finish technically for that, so that gives the Porsche team a little bit more prize money. Doesn't change the outcome for them though. Warwick with a chance to qualify taken off him with an engine failure. Zanardi and Blundell in the Ocellas out. The two Minardis out for the first time. And then Giacomelli's Lola, the Monteverdi of Bernard, the Real of Ribs and the Reynard of Andretti. Those are the retirements. The fastest lap of the race. Not a massive shock. Joe Winkelhock, Smoking Joe at the front end of the field and with the fastest car in the fray. They have had a little bit of poor luck at the start of the season, but now it certainly seems to be coming good for them as the car continues to improve. There we go then, Dave. It is Zach Speed, Lola and Coloni that go through to the British Grand Prix.
Excellent stuff, and I'm really looking forward to the main race coming up shortly.
So, obviously, that means that there's going to be a fascinating premium on what happens in the later Grand Prix. It will be a short one, but it's definitely going to be an exciting one. The British Grand Prix is on your screens next.
Ah, what music!
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
We won't be out long.
Take your time. Track's all yours.
You ready?
The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready. Hit it.
Attaboy.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
I got a message for all of them. Shake and bake.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
That just happened.
These cars, you sit in a box, a coffin, gasoline all around you. It isn't like it being inside a bomb.
It's tough enough being a girl on the track. Living in my dad's shadow doesn't help much.
You have to be kind to the car. You feel the poor thing groaning underneath you.
No race was ever won in the first corner.
I'm going to give you an engine, low to the ground, extra big oil pan will cut the wind from underneath you. That'll give you 30 to 40 more horsepower.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
Brakes are warm. Tires are warm.
I'll work in the cars and I'll drive and I'll eat and sleep and I'll work in the cars and I'll drive.
Damn fast, and when he runs it close together, it requires fantastic concentration and rather special skills.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
If you're going to push a piece of machinery to the limit and expect it to hold together, you have to have some sense of where that limit is.
Besides, the best drivers don't dwell on the future or the past. The best drivers focus only on the present.
They could never have imagined it, those pioneers who invented the automobile, that it would possess us like this in our imaginations, our dreams.
I'm going to give you a fuel line that will hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm going to shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet.
Somebody put it in your mind you got to be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
Racing is in my blood.
I was put on this earth to race cars.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die, and I can live with it, but not 1% more.
No, Nicky, don't bring the percentages into this. Don't be a pro. The minute you do that, you kill what's good about this. You kill the sport.
And at that speed, your reactions can barely keep up with these sudden changes in direction.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up?
You want me to work the pit and you drive? Fine, we'll try that.
The car's a living, breathing thing, and she's alive.
If any of us imagined, really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
I am just as good as anybody out there on that track, and I don't need anybody to win my races for me.
I wish my daddy were alive to see this, to feel this. And when we get you prime painted and weighed, you'll be ready to go out on that racetrack. You hear me? You're gonna be perfect.
You don't understand what happens, do you? They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
So it has always seemed to me that to do something very dangerous requires a certain absence of imagination.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated by the hands of somebody who is truly better than you.
The only thing to do here is to drive just as fast as you know how and hope your car doesn't break.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
If you ain't first, you're last. There's 40 other vultures out there who managed to finish the race on their tires. You see Darrell Waltrip using up his tires?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
But hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
Sometimes you could swear the whole thing's falling to bits.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
On the other hand, I suppose potential problems are in the back of your mind all the time.
So in many ways, I feel responsible for what happened. And
You were, but trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
You're so lucky. You sit there all closed in by machinery and bolts, precise things. There's hardly any room for you. It must be a nice, safe feeling.
You gotta learn to trust something. Just as well be the seat of your pants.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Well, we can drive. We can drive beyond the limits of the tires, the engine, the car, anything else.
Look out there. Out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes. Every gear change, every corner. Perfect. You see it.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But it isn't just business, is it? What we do. It's passion, love, which is why we're prepared to risk our lives for it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Why does everybody keep telling me what my problem is?
That you get so emotional.
You would never, ever say that to a guy.
If you don't leave your feelings off the track, you're never going to get what you want.
I'm a race driver, and I can win it on my own.
Please let me race.
fine. Then let's race.
It's going to be a fascinating British Grand Prix here at Silverstone. I'm Jake Sanson, beside me is Dave Goddard, and after a thrilling qualifying session, it's business as usual, with Alain Prost now moving to the Brabham team, having had a successive start to their season. Ayrton Senna is back at the front, having had a qualifying penalty last time out at France. But guess what, folks? It's Prost and Senna on the front of the grid once again. No wonder the fans have flocked here in their thousands. We've got a championship battle again, perhaps.
Yes, the two old rivals back up there once again. Now with different teams, of course. Alain Prost on his debut for the Martini Brabham team, but he's clearly lost none of his form. He's had a breath of fresh air after leaving the slightly struggling Ferrari squadron. Ayrton Senna up alongside him now, leading the McLaren team. Of course, Gerhard Berger serving a ban at the moment. Giovanni Alloy, their reserve driver in the car. Jean Alesi well up there again for Tyrrell as well. So many unknown quantities going into this race.
So let's talk you through the grid. 65 laps of Silverstone. It's Prost and Senna on the front row of the grid again. Alesi and Frentzen in the Tyrrells are on row 2. Thierry Boutsen in the Williams is on row 3, alongside the Lotus of Andrea De Cesaris. Alessandro Nannini in the Benetton is back, alongside Patrese in the Williams. Nelson Piquet starts 9th in his Benetton, alongside Derek Warwick in the second Lotus. Mika Hakkinen down in 11th in the Brabham, alongside the Ligier of Nicola Larini. Then Adrian Fernandez in the Arrows, and Mauricio Gugelmin in the Leighton House. His teammate Ivan Capelli, the other Arrows of Michele Alboreto, is next. Then Eddie Chiva in the Ligier, ahead of Giovanni Alloy in the Mexican on his Grand Prix debut, over a second slower than Senna. Morbidelli and Giacomelli next up, the Italians. Morbidelli in the Ferrari, Giacomelli in the Lola. Stefano Modena out-qualified by Gianni Morbidelli on his debut for Ferrari. Piercarlo Ginzani is alongside. And then it's Joe Winkelhock and Ukyo Katayama from Bertrand Gachot and Aguri Suzuki. The British Grand Prix is about to get underway, and we've got Alain Prost, the reigning world champion, back at the front where he belongs in the Brabham. But will the battle reign supreme? The Tyrrells with their new livery are on the 3rd and 4th position of the starting grid as well. Senna is back at the front. He wants to win. Let's go racing! The British Grand Prix of 1990 is underway, and the Tyrrells are storming through. That's Frentzen making an amazing getaway as he's up to second place already, splitting the two title rivals, and he's actually looking to try and take the lead. He has! Frentzen leads at the British Grand Prix of 1990. The Tyrrells are 1st and 3rd, and Morbidelli is in the war zone on the way through Copse Corner. Has he gone out of it with one piece of that Ferrari? Yes, indeed he has. So the race continues on for the Ferrari, and they are there battling away wheel to wheel with Giacomelli in the Lola, but Frentzen is out front leading for Tyrrell. What joy for them!
Well, they're debuting a new livery, as we can see this weekend. Sam Hall, the team boss, must be very proud right now to see his young German charge out in front. It's Prost in second place. Third is Jean Alesi, a challenge on from the Williams on the back of Senna. That's Thierry Boutsen, the Belgian, chasing down Ayrton Senna. We ride with the United colours of Benetton. Alessandro Nannini has a go at the back of Boutsen in turn. Piquet, his teammate behind him. Hakkinen, Warwick and De Cesaris round out the top 10 around the first lap at Silverstone in front of the adoring British public. But what a getaway that was by Heinz-Harald Frentzen.
So for the first time since about 1973, I would think, a Tyrrell is leading the British Grand Prix. That is an absolutely brilliant sight as Thierry Boutsen gets up the inside of Ayrton Senna. Oh, Senna runs deep, very deep. And unfortunately, Thierry Boutsen has to back off it. Senna just doesn't seem to have the horsepower to play with in this McLaren. We know they've had handling difficulties in 1990, and it hasn't quite gone according to plan. And Piquet is now a bit of P6 past Nannini. Nannini's got through as well. It's the Williams cars that are struggling now.
Yeah, Boutsen lost 2 places there going through the Beckett's complex. Nannini and Piquet, the 2 Benettons, both got through. We ride on board with one of the AGSs there, one of the Leighton Houses, I should say there, apologies, attacking the Ligier of Nicola Larini. That's the battle for 13th. Maurizio Gugelmin and Ivan Capelli on the tail of the French car. Just ahead of them, Adrian Fernandez. He's been a revelation this season, the Mexican driver in the Footwork Arrows. And he's closing in on Riccardo Patrese. Williams certainly struggling in the early laps here.
Yeah, there's quite a few teams as a possible option for 1990. Oh, that's Winkelhock. Winkelhock's had a shunt. Winkelhock's had a crash there. We need to figure out what happened to him. The Zach Speed's had a go on the inside of the Arrows of Michele Alboreto, and neither driver's backed off out of it. Oh my goodness.
Talk about wallop straight in. That's a nasty one there into the barriers. Alboreto, has he been able to keep going there? I think he has, but there's going to be a bit of controversy about that one, I think.
And a big amount of damage on Winkelhock's Zach Speed there. It was a big accident. And Gasho is out of the race as well, we're told. So he's had a problem as well. We need to figure out what's happened there. Oh, just a suspension failure, unfortunately, for the Coloni, which had a good start to the weekend, obviously, through the pre-qualifying race. But now Winkelhock out, Gasho out on the same lap, lap 3. On lap 2, technically speaking, I should say, of course. But it's not good news for them. And as Gasho's car is being pulled away, it's now just 24 cars running. Frentzen leading, Prost second, then Alesi, Senna, Nannini, Piquet, Warwick and Boutsen.
Yeah, it's a great shame for Coloni. I was talking to Senna Stoffmail before the race. He said he was absolutely delighted. The hard work put in by the team really had paid off here this weekend, but we've lost Bertrand Gachot. Bit of manoeuvring going on down into Stowe Corner here. That's one of the Williams on the inside. That's Patrese attacking Andrea De Cesaris, who's certainly made waves since moving into the Lotus team. Lotus really the quiet achievers of Grand Prix racing this year. Derek Warwick up there third in the points. He hasn't had much luck in the last couple of races, though, as he ride with Alain Prost, world champion in the Brabham. There's Ivan Capelli in the lovely-looking Leighton House. He's down in 14th at the moment. Surprisingly, quickest lap of the race for Heinz-Harald Frentzen. 1 minute 2.107. Midfield getting a little bit more strung out now as you watch Capelli. He's got Eddie Cheever a few car lengths behind him in 15th in the Ligier. Been a bit of a season of struggle for the Ligier man. Alain Prost in second place, rather on his own at the moment, trying to close Frentzen down. Jean Alesi still third in the second Tyrrell, then Senna fourth, holding off Nannini. And then this man, Nelson Piquet, in the Brabham. He's got Thierry Boutsen attacking as they come down the Hanger Straight. Boutsen's going to have a look on the inside. Doesn't quite manage to make his way through.
So, a very exciting start to the 1990 British Grand Prix as the battle continues. Prost is now starting to close up again on Frentzen's Tyrrell. As we watch Alboreto, he had a bit of a nasty moment there. It was the other car, of course, of Joe Winkelhock that went airborne, but Alboreto obviously getting pinned in there. It looks as though he's been able to continue without too much damage to the car, I have to say. It's looking still like an Arrows. It looks pretty much intact. As Prost, here we go, is now starting to gain ground on the man in front, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, still a novice in the world of Grand Prix racing, of course, the young German. Plucked from the ranks of junior single-seaters, and he's been working with Sauber on their Mercedes sports car program of late. So Frentzen is no slouch, but he's taking to Formula One racing like a duck to water.
He certainly is, yes. The man who's been making waves in sports car racing, as you said, Jake, with the likes of Michael Schumacher, who we've seen with Reynard in the GoBobby.UK Cup this season. He's under pressure here. Here's Capelli. He's caught Nicola Larini, the two Italians together down the straight. Capelli has got the inside line. That's Adrian Fernandez up ahead, and Capelli goes through on the inside, takes the Ligier. Ligier team struggling a bit on this power track here at Silverstone. They were going well in their home race as Larini makes a move up the inside, sends Capelli out wide, but Capelli holds onto it. I thought he was going off there. And never mind that, because Alain Prost about to make a move for the lead here down into Copse. Can he make it stick? No. Frentzen closes the door. They both run out wide. Frentzen holds his lead.
It must feel so satisfying for Alain Prost, having had a very difficult start to the season with Ferrari, to now be in a car that's got the grunt and the motivation that he has to start pushing towards the front end of the field. Senna is probably sick to his stomach right now, the McLaren driver down in 4th position, not really able to run towards the front. Even Alesi seems a little bit off the boil today in 3rd place as Frentzen and Prost disappear out into the distance. This could cause some interesting inter-team politics within Tyrrell. Alesi's been their golden boy all season, and Frentzen came in at the French Grand Prix as Patrese is trying to make a bid to get past Hakkinen in the 2nd Brabham. And Hakkinen is very much hanging on to it at the moment in second in the number 2 car. And he's there in P9. Already a race winner this year, of course, Mika Hakkinen, as the youngest Formula 1 race winner in history. Giacomelli missing a gear there as he watches Gugelmin make a bid for Chiva on the inside. And that was so nearly a contact there between Chiva and Gugelmin. They get away with it as Nannini is now challenging Senna. Can the Benetton get through? He commits to it and Senna kicks it round the outside.
I don't know what's going on between Leighton House and Ligier. There's a bit of stock car racing almost between them in the midfield at the moment. A bit of inter-team rivalry going on, I think, as Andrea De Cesaris battling it out with Riccardo Patrese. The Williams has got through there, so Williams starting to come on song now. Cesaris, the off an accident-prone Italian, tries to fight back there. Very experienced Grand Prix driver. Facing down Hakkinen.
Oh,
and off goes Aguri Suzuki in the LaRousse Lola. Can he get going again from there? He slid off into the gravel trap. He was in 22nd
Oh, it was Modena.
No, Modena. Not enjoying a happy time of it in the Ferrari.
Well, that's not great news for Stefano Modena, is it? Because he's in his first Grand Prix with Ferrari. Up on the inside. Now, the question here, Dave Goddard, has got to be, did he go up the inside for a gap that wasn't there, or did Suzuki shut the door on him?
It looked to me as though that could have been the Ferrari's fault. They've had a miserable year this year, but Suzuki at least has been able to get going again at the tail of the field. Back on board with Michele Alboreto, looking to survive that incident earlier on. A former Ferrari man himself, of course, in the 1980s. He's trying to chase down the Coloni of Kyo Katayama for 20th place.
Oh, Senna's slowing. I'm sorry to cut across you there, Dave, but Senna has spun. He's not slowing, he's spun off. There he goes, he's come out of the final turn, and Ayrton Senna has thrown away P4.
Now, was there contact there with Alessandro Nannini? We saw them battling. We need to see the beginning of that incident, or did Senna just lose it himself? That's very uncharacteristic.
Yeah, he did. He lost it on his own.
Wow. That's similar to what he did at Monaco when he was leading a couple of years ago and went out of the race. Now, hopefully he can get the McLaren going again. It's streaming past him.
He's got to let the field go. That's the problem. He's got to wait for a gap in the traffic. But I wonder if he's beached it. Has he beached the car? Look, he's got a
curb, yeah.
He's stuck on a curb, but he's also stuck in second gear. He's got to try and find first gear again to get the car moving, because in second gear he can't make the car go. He's trying to reboot the throttle. Now he has done. So Senna has rejoined the British Grand Prix, but he is dead last. Horrible year for Ferrari. It's looking like a fairly horrible middle of the year for McLaren.
Okay, the Burger King McLaren. Now let's see if we can have a burn from the stern, as they say in IndyCar racing, from Ayrton Senna. That's still Alain Prost cannot get onto level terms with Heinz-Harald Frentzen. It looks as though the Tyrrell has a slight straight line speed advantage here at Silverstone. There are a lot of long high-speed straights here on the Silverstone circuit, but Prost just relieved to be back in contention for victory after his problems with Ferrari earlier in the year, I'm sure.
So, crazy race so far here in the British Grand Prix, and it's only getting more entertaining as the race continues on. But obviously the racing is just going to continue to get intense. Alesi's having a very quiet afternoon, it has to be said, as he continues on his way. So, Alesi there running in P3. the gold insignia on the car. Normally that should be pink, but as they were in the British Grand Prix, they decided to run with... Oh, and Cheever's gone off now in exactly the same place. So exactly the same place, and this time Cheever has stalled it. So Cheever is out of the British Grand Prix for the moment, as Boutsen has managed to get past Nelson Piquet further round the lap. Oh, that's why.
Piquet's got a problem. Yes, he's slowing. What's happened to the Benetton?
Suspension failure.
Doesn't look too bad. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, something came loose in the suspension, and Nelson Piquet, the former three-time world champion, is out of the Grand Prix.
Well, that's another name for another racing driver whose name has been cropping up in terms of the how long left is his career statement, because Piquet is obviously one of those drivers who's towards the end of their lifespan in Formula One, although based on his win in the Brazilian Grand Prix earlier this year, nobody's given Nelson Piquet that memo.
I know we've got a couple of newcomers watching the race today, Jake. If anybody wants to get involved in our Retro Racing Managers League, tell them how they can do so.
Well, of course, it's for budding managers rather than esports racers. You don't need the games console or a gaming PC to be able to compete. All you have to do is show an interest, email downforceuk@hotmail.co.uk. You can either do that or send us a message. You can see on the screen, on your screen, our social media channels and what you have to follow to get in touch with us. Downforce Racing UK. All you have to do is ping us a DM or send us an email, and we will get you into the league on Discord, and you can find out what opportunities there are to race. They're not just Formula One leagues that go on. We also do touring cars, sports car racing, Indy cars. There will be plenty of programs over the course of 2021, especially if Great Britain continues to be in a lockdown situation. This is why we created this form of manager racing. Very different to the world of in-person esports, but certainly there are enough motor racing nerds out there to enjoy, as we have, the Minecraft of motorsport, as it is called.
I know we've got one or two real-life racers watching tonight, including from the short oval, so maybe they'll take the step into our Retro Racing Managers League. Here's the battle going on once again between Leighton House and Ligier. And here's our third-place man, Jean Alesi. What a season he's had. A pair of victories so far this year, but a little bit of unreliability elsewhere. He's fourth in the points coming into this round. There is the Williams of Thierry Boutsen, the Belgian, running in sixth place, chasing Derek Warwick, who again running consistently well in the Lotus. He's had a great season so far.
Well, interestingly, Warwick is not only second in the championship, but wasn't it Ryan Ferris last time out who told us, don't worry about Derek Warwick's form. He had a bit of a hiccup in Mexico, and then again in France he said, it's a blip, he'll come back strong. He was right. He's managed to overtake both the Williams cars over the first part of this race, Derek Warwick, and he's in fifth position, having a great race. Still, Larini is hustling Capelli. Great to see the Leighton House cars going a little bit faster now. They're in 11th and 13th at the moment, but Larini's got a chance. They're on the inside. Why did the camera cut across at that moment? We were right in the midst of a battle there as De Cesaris closes up on Hakkinen for 7th place, and there's a Williams in there as well. That's Patrese.
Cracking battle between these three. Up the inside goes De Cesaris. Oh, thinks better of it, though. Nearly clips the back of young Mika Hakkinen there in the second of the Martini Brabhams. As the Lotus sandwiched by the Williams of the very experienced Riccardo Patrese, a Grand Prix driver since the late 70s. Here comes De Cesaris, made his debut back in 1980. Never came closer to victory than the 82 at Monaco when he sadly ran out of fuel in the Alfa Romeo, but he loses out there to Riccardo Patrese, who's up into 8th position. His next target is Mika Hakkinen.
There's the Rini having another go on the inside line. Oh, good racecraft from Capelli, but that's brave.
He just cannot get the sole remaining Equipe Pringles Ligier past Ivan Capelli in that Leighton House. He tries again. The other Leighton House is up there as well. That's Gugelmin in behind them. Is the Ligier going to get through this time? He forces Capelli to go onto the wider line, and he cuts back in front of him there. That's not the first time that Capelli has done that. He is defending aggressively, you might say. The Ligier is all over him here, but he's got to attack and defend at the same time, because here comes Gugelmin into Beckett's, and he goes through past the Ligier. But instead of gaining a place, Larini's lost one.
So Capelli and Gugelmin now in 11th and 12th place. Frentzen is coming up to traffic. That looks like Suzuki in front of him. It is indeed. So Suzuki in the Lola with the Renault engines is about to lose out here to Frentzen, who goes for the smallest gap in history to fly past and assert himself at the front end. Frentzen, who a lot of people have said is actually slightly quicker than Michael Schumacher as a race driver. A lot have been talked about these two talented young Germans. And Prost is going to fly past the Lola no problem as well. But Frentzen showcasing that he's a little bit of a demon behind the wheel.
Looking at our comments, Mackie's Life says that was a clumsy overtaking attempt earlier on by Winkelhock that caused a collision with Alboreto. And Michael Gillespie says not very crisp from Larini there.
No.
No free Pringles in the paddock for you, sir.
Nicely done. Here comes Nannini. Good to see him back in the Benetton after both he and Piquet had to miss a race after a very controversial first lap for Benetton in Mexico when both drivers lost their seat for a day. Larini's got back past Gugelmin, I can tell you that. Larini has got back into 12th place past Gugelmin, so the Ligier has split the Leighton House cars once again as we get ever closer to that first round of pit stops. And Patrese trying to have a go on the inside of Hakkinen, and Hakkinen again sweeps across, not going to let that Williams through.
Under the bridge down towards the Woodcote complex, the Lotus still behind them as well. Here's our leader, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, still less than a second ahead of Alain Prost. And here's this battle, they're still at it, the two Leighton Houses and the Ligier of Larini down towards the complex at the end of the lap. Still Capelli holds on, Larini tries to do it again. Now, are we going to see a repeat as they go into Copse Corner this time? Is he going to force Capelli out onto the wide line? Let's hope they keep it clean, keep it on the island. Gugelmin's trying to go up the outside, try and confuse Larini. He's seeing double here, Nicolo Larini, but Gugelmin ran wide. He's dropped back a little into the clutches slightly of Giovanni Alloy, our debutant in the Burger King McLaren.
And he is currently running in 14th place, the Mexican, not really lapping at the same sort of pace as his teammate Ayrton Senna, who of course is behind him after his spin earlier on in the race. Senna has climbed as high as 20th. So he's got past Modena's Ferrari, but that's it. And up the inside goes the Ligier of Larini. Finally, he cracks it into 11th place. Patience is rewarded for Nicola Larini. You know, he is turning into a real little tiger behind the wheel. And it would not surprise me if he is on many teams' shopping lists for next year. He's been mighty in the mid-season.
Well, in France, of course, in Ligier's home race, he was on for a podium until the car sadly let him down. So the potential is there with Ligier. They've had a bit of a frustrating season so far. Meanwhile, here's Mika Hakkinen, and now De Cesaris has got ahead of Patrese as well in this battle for 7th place. Looking further forward, and Lacey, Warwick and Nannini still together in the fight for 3rd.
Yeah, Warwick's got through. Warwick's into P4. He's caught Nannini, and now he's on the back of a Lacey. Here we go.
They're going for a podium, but Prost still only a couple of tenths behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen for the lead now as well. So we could see a lead change coming up depending on the straight line speed of the Tyrrell. As we're seeing here with the speed of the Tyrrell from Jean Lacey. There is Piercarlo Ginzani in the Zach speed further back, the sole remaining Zach speed, of course, Dinkelhardt having crashed down in the race. This is behind that Leighton House fight, which is being now chased by Giovanni Alloy. And Derek Warwick has just pitted, so the pit stops are beginning. Derek Warwick has come in from that 4th place.
So let's go to the pits and see if we can pick it up. There it is. So he's on a 2-stop strategy there, Derek Warwick. So he will have a 2-stop race. No wonder he was surging his way through the field. And he has the advantage of getting a quiet pit stop on his own as Frentzen laps the Ferrari. Well, a Tyrrell lapping a Ferrari is something we haven't been able to say for many years. But that's certainly the way it's going today. There's Gianni Morbidelli having a bit of a battle with Bruno Giacomelli and Ayrton Senna. Again, you don't see Senna towards the back of the field too often, but 1990 has definitely not been kind to the Brazilian. And, well, with someone of the talent and the ability of Ayrton Senna, how much patience does the Brazilian have? We saw Prost obviously throw his toys out of the pram earlier this year to finish up with Ferrari. Would Senna walk away from a McLaren? Is that that Brabham going through? Yes, that's Hakkinen. He's through on De Cesaris.
Around the outside of Andrea De Cesaris. Impressive. This young Finn is seriously talented, I have to say. Mind you, the Finns start on the inside again. They're sending Hakkinen wide. Good recovery there by Mika Hakkinen. I was just saying how talented Finnish drivers often seem to be, but they seem to start driving and competing in motorsport almost as soon as they can walk in Finland.
Gearbox for Senna.
Senna. Oh no.
Well, that's probably what caused the spin initially. We did see he was stuck in 2nd gear on the curb, didn't we? So
he must have damaged it when he hit the curb.
Yeah, quite possibly. But unfortunately for Senna, the gearbox is now full of neutrals. And Ayrton Senna is out of the British Grand Prix. He really doesn't seem to be having a great season now in 1990. How long will that umbilical cord with McLaren stay intact?
We shall wait and see. It's been a season full of driver and team changes, and I think there is possibly more to come. We'll wait and see. Frentzen has extended his lead, meanwhile. He's got the gap to 1.7 seconds over Alain Prost now as De Cesaris tries again on the back of Hakkinen. Down under the bridge towards the Woodcut complex. Mika Häkkinen in the second, Martini Brabham. Nannini, meanwhile, in the pits in the Benetton.
And that's Prost!
On a two-stopper.
That's Prost! Prost is out of the race. He was due to come into the pits on this lap. Prost in the Brabham was due to come in, and there goes the engine. That's what cost Prost. So, unfortunately, the 3 times world champion Alain Prost will not win on his debut for Brabham. He is out of the British Grand Prix.
Oh, disaster for Alain Prost. I know there's a lot of Prost fans here in the crowd this weekend. And another big name hits trouble. Senna and Prost, they started on the front row. They retire within a lap of each other.
Well, Prost is going to park
this race this season becoming ever more unpredictable.
Indeed.
Incredible.
There you go. Prost pulls off. He realises now that the race is done and dusted. He should really have pulled off a little bit sooner than that, but unfortunately, Alain, it doesn't matter which team you join. 1990 doesn't seem to have your name written all over it, mate.
Pit stops being made in the midfield. Gugelmin has come in. Larini has come in. Katayama and the Coloni as well. So Frentzen and Alesi, it's a Tyrrell 1-2. There's nearly 14 seconds between the two of them. Boutsen is on the tail of Alesi in the Williams. Boutsen has just come into the pits, though. So next in the order now should be Mika Häkkinen upholding honour for the Brabham team. He's just passed his teammate's car there. He'll see his teammates out of the race. And this man's sitting pretty at the front. Heinz Harald Frentzen.
When was the last time Tyrrell ran first and second in a Grand Prix? It's got to be the 70s, surely.
It's got to be 1973 in the days of Jackie Stewart and Francois Sever, surely.
Well, that is absolutely phenomenal.
Possibly a little later than that. Possibly Jody Scheckter and Ronnie Peterson in the days of the six-wheeler. And that.
That's very true. Could well have been. Here's to Cesaris having a go at Häkkinen again as these two run almost neck and neck. Nannini has pitted, so he is in P8, but he's on an aggressive strategy of his own as Häkkinen tries to hang on in the Brabham, and again he holds on to third place, and that backs them into the Williams of Patrese, who is now attacking, and there's Fernandez, who has climbed to 6th position. He's on a one-stop strategy by the look of it, Fernandez, so he is actually keeping himself in a very decent, solid position as Frentzen has pit in from the lead. So Alesi takes the lead. Up in front, Patrese's getting aggressive with the Lotus, but this is definitely a race that's still got a few chapters left in it.
Into the pits now comes De Cesaris in the Lotus. We're going to see what his fuel strategy is going to be. Hopefully we'll pick up what strategy Frentzen is on as well. He'll be on a two-stopper, I would think. De Cesaris will wait and see. In comes the yellow Camel cigarette-sponsored machine. Yes, he's on a two-stopper. So Alesi will take the lead in his Tyrrell. Frentzen, I think, has still got out in second place. It's still Tyrrell's first and second. On board with Mika Häkkinen, still holding on ahead of Riccardo Patrese for that third place. Behind them, Adrian Fernandez. He has been a revelation this season, the Mexican, in the footwork arrows. I can see a few of the top teams being interested in him for next year.
What he seems to be really good at is tyre management. He's always, this year, come up to the playground and been very, very strong indeed in every area of tyre management. That's where he's able to get the most out of the footwork, and he's really shown up. His elder statesman teammate Michele Alboreto, don't forget 3 years ago Alboreto was second to Berger at Monza for Ferrari, and now young Fernandez is really starting to show that he's got skill in massive, massive talent as Patrese pits in from P4.
So Riccardo Patrese comes in the Williams. Teammate Boutsen was running in 7th place. Warwick back up into 5th place in the Lotus. Continue to keep an eye on him. So a two-stopper for the Williams team as well. We briefly had, until he came in there, Piercarlo Ginzani into the points in the Zach Speed. I don't think they've got into the points in the overall championship so far this year. No, they've only qualified once. They got a 12th and 13th in the last round in France.
Oh, Boutsen!
Oh, out of shape there. Boutsen.
What a save, though. What a save from the Belgian. We've got to have a look at that one again as we ride on board with him. Now, this is how close he came to throwing it out of the race. He closes in on Nannini. He's got good speed compared to the Ford. Chops across, loses the back end. What a save from the Belgian. That's one of the saves of the season. Absolutely brilliant.
Goodness me, that was a power slide worthy of Carlos Sainz in rallying, that was.
Yes, it was. Absolutely sensational recovery from Boutsen. Here comes Suzuki, and he's about to lose out to the young Japanese driver Ukyo Katayama. Doubly so, because now, oh, that's Frentzen tripping over him as well. That's Frentzen. He's just done the fastest lap of the race, and Frentzen trips over the Lola, shakes his fist at Suzuki as he goes by. Frentzen has come to this Grand Prix, only his second start in Formula One. He wants to win.
Well, this is remarkable from Heinz-Harald Frentzen. He dealt with that quite calmly, I thought there. Jean Alesi out in front looking for win number 3 this season, which will make him the most successful driver in terms of race wins. Nobody has yet won 3 races. We watch the Benetton there. There's Ghinzani having a good consistent run in the sole remaining West Zakspeed. He's in 17th place at the moment, hoping for a bit of attrition so he can maybe get within a sniff of the points places in what will be, as we know, his last season of Grand Prix racing. He'll retire at the end of this year, the long-time Osella man over the last few years. Alesi continues to lead, 10.5 seconds ahead of his teammate who we ride with now, Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Mika Häkkinen third, a second ahead of Derek Warwick. Here's Boutsen attacking Nannini again, that's for 6th position. Fernandez just ahead of them. Here's Bruno Giacomelli, one of the stars of the GoBobby.UK Cup for the pre-qualifying teams so far this year, fighting for the lead of that series.
So the battle continues. 20 cars still running. Prost and Senna out. Piquet out. So all the world champions in the field are out. Chiva, Winkelhock and Gasho all continuing on in the early stage of the race, and then unfortunately pulling out. Here's Nannini upholding the honours for Benetton, and he is now battling with Fernandez, who is up to 4th place on a one-stop strategy. Here's Frentzen in the Tyrrell. Is he closing up on a Zakspeed to lap him? I think that is the Zakspeed in front of Ghinzani. Yes, it is indeed. So Frentzen there running in P2, 8.9 seconds behind Alesi. He's catching his teammate. There is the Frenchman. This is going to be an interesting one back at base camp, isn't it, Dave? Because obviously Alesi's won twice, the most winning Grand Prix driver so far this season. But the young upstart, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, is already showing a clean pair of heels.
Yes, Sam Hall will have to maybe control his drivers and stop them racing each other too much. We don't want them taking each other out of races as Häkkinen runs wide through Kopp's corner there. Boutsen has another go at the sole remaining Benetton there of Alessandro Nannini. He goes wide. There's a lot of drivers running wide through Kopp's. Is there a little bit of fluid down there, I wonder?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me.
Corner, as Boutsen tries again through the Maggots-Beckett's complex. I don't think he's going to get through there. No, the Benetton holds that 6th place. Frentzen under fire there. That's one of the back markers behind him. That's the Zakspeed, so he has got through. Boutsen tries again. We saw what happened when he did this before at Stowe. Thinks better of it this time. Doesn't want another half spin.
I think a lot of this race is going to be decided in the pit stops, because there's going to be a lot of undercuts and overcuts in the pit stop strategy race. But Frentzen is having a terrific race in second. He's already pitted, of course. His teammate Alesi has not. But the question is also, in terms of their fuel strategy, Alesi's on a one-stopper. That's why he's not pitted. So if Alesi can get into a decent rhythm as he hits over 200 miles an hour down the Hangar Straight, if Alesi can get himself into a good position in this second phase of the Grand Prix, then Alesi still has a chance to beat teammate Frentzen. But Frentzen is on a 2-stop strategy, so the German's got to push.
Maybe this is how Sam Hall is testing his two drivers here today. He's put them on different strategies to see how they cope, perhaps, as we see Ghinzani closing up there on one of the Ferraris.
So come on, Alesi! Alesi spins! Alesi spins from the lead of the Grand Prix! Unbelievable! Jean Alesi does exactly the same thing Senna did at the final corner, and there goes Frentzen through into the lead.
Okay, that's going to change things completely then. We're just saying on strategies and so on, but can Jean Alesi get it going?
He stalled it! He stalled it! Wow. Alesi has spun the car, stalled it. He is out of the British Grand Prix. Well, that has definitely that's a wasted opportunity for Jean Alesi, because with Berger absent for a 3-race ban, Alesi could have got some massive points back in the championship fight, but he has thrown it away on his own.
Well, the drivers now to watch are Häkkinen and Warwick, who are fighting for second place behind Frentzen. They are going to make big inroads into the absent Gerhard Berger's lead. As I say that, they nearly take each other out.
They do indeed. I want to see that one again, because Warwick was looking very feisty there on the inside of Häkkinen. He threw it up the inside, and they both end up... That got very close and personal between Warwick and Häkkinen, but of course, Häkkinen is a Grand Prix winner. Warwick should have been a Grand Prix winner. There's no two ways about it. And this is his best opportunity he's had for many seasons, as Alboreto is battling with Larini and holds on to it. But, yeah, it's an interesting fight.
Desperate for points for Ligier, I think, after the failure to get on the podium in his Ligier's home race in France.
Well, if things keep going the way they are going for Ligier, they do have a chance to come back through, because Alboreto looks like he's on a one-stop strategy as well. Here's Ivan Capelli, who's been getting on with things very quietly. He's on a one-stopper as well. That's why he's in P7. As Hakkinen is also on a one-stopper. So is Warwick. So these two... Oh, no, sorry. They're both on... They're on two-stoppers, aren't they? Because they both pitted. My apologies.
Warwick was the very first one to come in.
Indeed he was. So now Warwick needs to clear Hakkinen to make good use of this strategy, because he's gone slightly shorter in the second stint. He tries again. Hakkinen chops across. Warwick is going to have to try a bold move here to get past the Brabham. He needs to use the slipstream and utilise it. Tucks back in. Down the hanger straight. Is this the moment?
He's in the slipstream there as they come down towards the treacherous right-hander at Stowe Corner. We almost saw Boutsen come a cropper there a few laps ago, of course. He's not close enough this time. Meanwhile, Larini trying to make a move again on Michele Alboreto. The experienced Italian cuts him off there. The other footwork arrows, meanwhile, under intense pressure from both Boutsen.
Was there contact?
What happened there?
I think there was some contact there. Let's look back again. Nannini in behind Patrese. Behind Boutsen. Boutsen has a go at Fernandez. Was there contact? Just a little love tap. Just a little love tap. Nothing more. Wow, that was a little bit scary.
I don't think that was anyone's fault there, as we see Hakkinen still holding off Warwick for second place. Boutsen will try again to take Fernandez down into the complex at Woodcote. Fernandez runs out wide, same as Hakkinen did earlier on. He holds the place. It's a great drive by Adrien Fernandez. Boutsen on his tail, a previous Grand Prix winner, of course. There's Maurizio Gugelmin, the second of the Leighton House cars. He's in 12th place, last man on the lead lap at the moment. Behind him, Giacomelli, Alloy and Ginzani round out to the first 15. Gugelmin is about to be lapped by the flying Frentzen.
Then Modena, Katayama, Morbidelli and Suzuki. Modena and Morbidelli, the two Ferraris, 16th and 18th. They really need Nigel Mansell back in that car, don't they? Mansell, of course, still convalescing after an injury he picked up at the Mexican Grand Prix. We're being told that he will return in time for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Now, that is one race longer than Ferrari need it to be. Several drivers actually likely to return from injury. Stefan Johansson, of course, is recovering well after his incident at Imola way back at race 3. And there are reports that he should be on the mend and ready to get back into a Grand Prix car. The problem is he doesn't have a race drive anymore because he got fired while he was while he was recovered, which is not the best way to continue his season. There's Frentzen, still leading, 21 seconds ahead of Hakkinen and Warwick, as Morbidelli tries to assert himself there in the battle with the Coloni. This is not a great race for Ferrari.
Yes, battling it out with Colonis is not where they want to be. They want to be up with the likes of the Williams, Benettons and, I was going to say the McLarens, but it's a race to forget for them as well, sadly, this time, as Nannini continues his battle with Boutsen. These two have been at it pretty much since the green lights came on in this race. They're all over each other, as are these two, Hakkinen and Warwick. It was Warwick third in the points, Hakkinen fifth coming into this race, sandwiching Jean Alesi and trying to make inroads into the absent Gerhard Berger's lead, and Riccardo Patrese, of course, second in the points, a point ahead of Warwick.
So a fascinating battle as Frentzen leads. Hakkinen, Warwick, Fernandez, Nannini, Boutsen, Capelli, Patrese, De Cesaris and Alboreto. But Frentzen leads the march in the Tyrrell with Hakkinen, Warwick, Fernandez and Nannini. So this is going to be an absolutely ferocious battle between these two, Hakkinen and Warwick. So the race story continues. As we've got Hakkinen there. Frentzen is actually coming under pressure from the Leighton House of Gugelmin. Now, I wonder if that's to do with fresher tyres or if that's genuinely the horsepower advantage that the Leighton House has on the back straight. But for whatever reason, Gugelmin seems to be hustling Frentzen.
Well, you said Frentzen leads the march, and technically that is a march. That's what Leighton House used to be called.
It's a very good point. So Hakkinen and Warwick...
I did have to get that one.
No, absolutely. Hakkinen and Warwick still duelling. And it's going to be a fascinating run down to the chicane. And here comes Patrese having a go on the march there again. This time it's Capelli who he's battling away with. The Leighton House.
Patrese will probably know by now that Alesi is out, and we'll try and make some inroads into Gerhard Berger's championship leagues. You mentioned Patrese is 21 points, if I remember rightly, behind in the championship at the moment. He wants to move up the order as Capelli pits for his what should be his sole stop on the race.
So this will be the one-stoppers coming in then. Expect to see Fernandez in any moment now. In fact, I think he's already done. Oh, Fernandez has gone off! Fernandez has gone off. Now, how's that happened? He's come through the first corner, battling away with Boutsen. Now, is Boutsen's eagerness to get past Fernandez finally going to bear fruit? Oh no, Fernandez did it on his own! Oh, Fernandez did it on his own, I'm afraid to say. And he's binned it at the first corner.
You said about tyre management earlier. Was Boutsen pushing him too hard and his tyres didn't survive it, I wonder?
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Fernandez. So he's gone a little bit over the line there. That's very unfortunate indeed.
Can he get it going again? And then hit his teammate there as he rejoined. I saw.
And he's held up the leader. He has held up the race leader.
A little bit foolhardy there by Adrian Fernandez. He's rather blotted his copybook there, but the main thing is he got the car going again, albeit out of the points.
Here's Morbidelli having a battle with Katayama, and he can't quite make the move stick there.
Warwick, just looking at the standing, Warwick's got through. Warwick's in second place.
He is indeed.
I think we missed that.
We did miss it. I wonder if it's happened. Oh, it happened partway through the lap, so we missed the move, unfortunately. But Warwick in the Lotus is now leading the British Grand Prix, bar the fact that Fredson is in front. So Fredson in the Tyrrell still leading the way. He hasn't yet. Warwick and Hakkinen are obviously still due to. But Derek Warwick is flying the flag for Great Britain. They all know what kind of a racing driver Warwick is. So there's a genuine chance that he could make his bid to come through.
What a story that would be. We mentioned we've got a couple of short ovalers watching today, and Derek Warwick started his career in super stocks on the short ovals at Speedworth. What a story that would be if he could win the British Grand Prix.
So the battle continues as we watch from Alessandro Nannini. There's Derek Warwick, second position at the moment and having an absolutely ferocious race as he continues his position. Fernandez pits from 13th, but that is not the way he wanted to pit. There's Giovanni Aloy in the second McLaren, substituting for the now suspended Gerhard Berger, who picked up a 3-race ban at the French Grand Prix for his shenanigans on the first lap. And Giovanni Aloy, the untried and untested Mexican, was their option to get into the car for the remainder of the season. But McLaren and Ferrari, two big names who are having a horrendous 1990 season in these new rules for the Grand Prix season. And it's definitely not gone their way as the Lotus runs in second. Derek Warwick ahead of the Brabham of Mika Hakkinen, his new teammate Alain Prost, with an engine failure earlier in the race when he was battling with Fredson, the race leader, for the victory. Nannini is fourth behind Hakkinen, then Boutsen, Patrese, De Cesaris, Alboreto, Larini and Gugelmin.
It's 9 cars on the lead lap. Last of them is Nicola Larini. Here he is attacking Michele Alboreto through the Maggots-Beckett's complex. One car coming into the pits there, that's Bruno Giacomelli in the Larus-Lola. We're on board with his teammates Aguri Suzuki, running a little bit further back down the order. Fredson still leads by nearly 24 seconds. It'll be interesting to see where he rejoins after his upcoming stop. Warwick is now pulled away by a few tenths from Hakkinen into that second place. There they are at the top of the circuit. Alessandro Nannini still ahead of Boutsen. Of course, Boutsen a little bit held up by that battle with the footwork of the now down the order Fernandez.
So there is Stefano Modena in the Ferrari as they continue to duel away with Katayama's Coloni. And in the background is Derek Warwick, I do believe. Or is that De Cesaris? Oh, De Cesaris has passed Boutsen. Is that because Boutsen's in trouble? Or was it just a plain overtake? We need to have a look at it. Oh, no, Boutsen's in trouble. Yeah, engine failure. Engine failure for the Williams. Well, he won the French Grand Prix last time out, but it's not going to be a repeat display for Thierry Boutsen as the engine dies. The Honda engine in the back of that Williams is well and truly gone again.
That is his 5th retirement already this year. Boutsen has not had the luck at all, barring that victory in France and a podium first time out at Phoenix, USA. Out goes the Williams.
Now, Hakkinen has pitted. Is that on schedule, or did he have a problem? No, it is on schedule. He's on a one-stopper, so Hakkinen has pitted. And that is the replay, obviously, of Boutsen parking his Williams. So Hakkinen pits in from third behind Derek Warwick. And that's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Brabham, obviously, as his pit stop continues. So Hakkinen still running in the pit lane. Terry Boutsen in the Williams out of the race. Fredson is now 25 seconds roughly ahead of Derek Warwick. There he is, going down the hangar straight, flying the flag for Great Britain. A lot of British talent in Formula One these days, but even without Nigel Mansell, the British crowd have a fair few stars to cheer on. Only one looking competitive in the British Grand Prix today, and that is Derek Warwick, as Alboreto pits from P9.
As the footwork arrows comes in, upholding honour for his team after the heroics early on from Adrian Fernandez. So we're past half distance now in the 1990 British Grand Prix here at Silverstone. Here's Fernandez battling it out with Patrese, who's trying to lap him. Behind them, Andrea De Cesaris in the second of the Lotus cars. Into the complex they come at the end of the lap. So inside goes Patrese, and Fernandez, I wonder if he thinks that's for position, because he's not giving way here. Of course, he had that damage after that spin, and he's battling with a Williams again. He doesn't want to get caught up with another Williams here, but Patrase's dropped away there. I hope that's not a sign of problems for the second Williams.
Well, I think Fernandez he just chopped across him and he had to back off and get on the brakes. But this is a great chance for De Cesaris now down the hangar straight. He can get into the slipstream of the Williams and go for P4 on this lap as Frentzen pits from the lead.
So Frentzen comes in then. It's the Tyrrell team, pinning all their hopes on the young German now. We see Warwick come through to take the lead. He's pulled away now into second place, of course, with Hakkinen having stopped. I think we're going to see Derek Warwick come through into the lead here. Nannini's a further 10 seconds back. So, Warwick's come in as well. Warwick in as well, my apologies. So, this could see Frentzen retain his lead here ahead of Alessandro Nannini.
It does indeed, as Warwick will drop down to about 8th position, I think. He's going to get held up by the Ferrari coming in. Modena is coming into the pits as well, and going out of the pits, I should say, in the Ferrari, and that's held up Warwick. So Warwick will rejoin behind Hakkinen, I think. We're going to see Hakkinen coming down the main straight. This is going to be close between him and Warwick, but I think Hakkinen's going to jump him. There it is. Warwick has lost out, and that getting held up by the Ferrari in the pit lane has cost Warwick second place.
But now Hakkinen's being held up by the Ferrari look of Modena, because he's rejoined ahead of the Brabham. So Frentzen leads the Grand Prix ahead of Alessandro Nannini now, 5.5 seconds between the two of them as Hakkinen will get through down towards Stowe Corner. Riccardo Patrese is currently in third place ahead of Andrea De Cesaris. Hakkinen is fifth, Warwick in sixth. So they've swapped round with Warwick, as we say, having lost time in the pit lane. It's Larini, Gugelmin, Aloy in the points in the McLaren, and Capelli rounds out the top 10.
So Alessandro Nannini comes into the pits from P2. That's scheduled right on cue. And so too comes De Cesaris into the pits for Lotus. So their pit stops are well underway. The Ferrari of Morbidelli leaves the pits. And Nannini will get out in good position. So too will De Cesaris. And that will promote Hakkinen and Warwick back into a battle for third position, because Patrese's Williams has yet to pit. There's Fredson just getting on the inside of Katayama's Coloni. And there is the Lotus finally getting past the Ferrari of Stefano Modena, as Fredson in the Tyrrell leads the race by 11 seconds, but with Patrese still to come in for his final pit stop, and I think he's due in the next couple of laps. Indeed he is for the Williams. This is looking excellent for the young German Fredson to break Hakkinen's record. Hakkinen won the San Marino Grand Prix this year on only his third outing in a Formula One race. Fredson is set to do it in his second appearance.
Yes, it's been an exemplary drive by Heinz-Harald Frentzen. He shot away from the line and has virtually controlled things ever since. He leads by 11.5 seconds over Riccardo Patrese. He'll be pleased with a decent points haul here to close the gap on Gerhard Berger at the top. With Germany and Hungary to come next, of course. We won't see Berger out at either of those. Hakkinen still in third place here. Will close up as well. He's fifth in the points at the moment. Finished out of the points in the previous round in France, of course.
Larini
40 here at Silverstone.
Yep, Larini comes into the pits, and that is right on cue for his second pit stop. We're right on board with the Ferrari of Stefano Modena as Giovanni Alloy brings the McLaren into the pits, and Larini brings the Ligier in as well. So those two will drop down the order a little. And there's Hakkinen trying to stretch out a gap over Derek Warwick, but Warwick is not letting him get too far ahead. And the Lotus Renault, still with plenty of horsepower underneath Warwick's right foot. Katayama, with a late pit stop, is running currently in 9th place at the moment as Patrese comes into the Williams pit. And that will drop him in front of Nannini, I think. Although Nannini, actually, with a late stop, might just be able to get back out again with a decent position intact here. Nannini's going to go through into 4th. Where is Patrese going to get out in the Williams? He's not had the luck today. Nannini goes through. What about Gugelmin? Gugelmin might get past him, and De Cesaris is not far away either. No, Gugelmin's pitted because he needed to. But what about De Cesaris? Has he got past? Patrese is there. Oh no, De Cesaris is on fire!
Oh, what a shame.
Well, that's not gone well for Lotus at all. And I'm afraid...
Well, he had a fine debut in France with 3rd place. He's out of this one.
Well, that's one way of stopping the car. He ended up getting on the curb and unfortunately crashing out regardless. The marshals are there quickly to douse the flames. But that doesn't bode well for Warwick, does it? With one Lotus out of the race on fire, the other one is battling for a podium, and Warwick could use it with Berger absent. Derek Warwick could potentially get right up close to Berger's tally in the championship.
We must, of course, thank all the marshals here at Silverstone. We couldn't go racing without them and all the other officials, the recovery crews, the medics and so on. Thanks to them here at British Grand Prix 1990.
So there is the Lola of Aguri Suzuki. He had a great run in the GoBobby.UK Cup, finished 2nd, brought the Lola into the Grand Prix. But now it's going to be a fascinating end to this race, and it's not done yet, that is for sure, as they come over the top of the hill once more. So this is going to be a very interesting end to the race, with Fredson nearly half a minute ahead of Hakkinen and Warwick, but Hakkinen and Warwick are having a terrific battle. Look, here's Warwick. He's got right up to Hakkinen once again, so these two are going to duel over 2nd place.
A bit of news coming through to us from Sam Hall in the Tyrrell pits. He says, if Tyrrell win, it's the first time they've won more than twice in 1 year since 1973 with Jackie Stewart.
Very true. So this is a fascinating display for the competitors as they continue to march on. Fredson, Hakkinen, Warwick, Nannini, Patrese, Capelli, Larini, Alboreto, Gugelmin, Fernandez is the top 10 at the moment as the field continues to march forward. But Fredson, Hakkinen and Warwick are now the 3 drivers likely to claim the podium. Warwick hasn't had too many of those in his career. Fredson hasn't had one at all, and he's leading.
And another bit of breaking news going through. There's reports coming through from the paddock that Ferrari team principal Chris Caveney has resigned.
Well, that is very dramatic. If that is the case, and I hope that is only conjecture and not fact, because Chris Caveney...
Well, keep an eye on that story.
Yeah, he's had all sorts of difficulties this year. He's had Prost walk out of the team mid-season. The car has not been particularly reliable at all. Very similar to how they were in 1989. Don't forget how many races they retired from in the 89 season before they could actually get decent points on the board. Brazil was the only highlight, really, of their season in 1989. Or other than that and Hungary, of course. But a very tricky start to the Ferrari display. And as we say that, there are the cars, 14th and 15th place, with a Benetton in the middle of them, lapping them. That's Nannini. So it's understandable as to why things have gone awry for Ferrari in 1990. It's not been a great season from their point of view, as the Rini there runs in 7th for Ligier, looking for some points. So the battle continues on its way, as Warwick runs there in 3rd position behind Hakkinen. And here's Nannini, who's looking for a podium.
Yes, keeping quietly confident on his return after that one race ban, of course. 7 seconds off Warwick at the moment. Warwick will be maybe starting to nurse the car. He may have been told that his teammate is out of the race, of course. Between Hakkinen and Warwick for 2nd place. Nannini 4th, Patrese 4 seconds back on him in 5th position. The last man on the lead lap now is Ivan Capelli in 6th in the Leighton House. Larini going well in 7th in the Ligier. Then it's Alboreto, Gugelmin and Fernandez rounding out the points places at the moment. It's all about this man, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, looking almost quietly confident up in front.
So the battle continues on its way. Frentzen is running well. Here's Hakkinen, having a nice tasty battle here at the front end of the field. Capelli running in P6 now in the Leighton House. But the racing is still very exciting at the front end of the field between Hakkinen and Warwick as they duel over second place. Giacomelli trying to unlap himself. That's not going to give Warwick any favours at all. And the Lotus driver getting a little bit impeded there. 20 laps left of the British Grand Prix of 1990, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen, the young German star, who's only in his 2nd Grand Prix with the Tyrrell team, is leading it in almost a more commanding fashion than we expect to see from Jean Alesi. And, well, a fascinating situation now as they have 2 fast individuals there at the Tyrrell team, and the racing obviously getting very feisty at the front end of the field. So the battle very much engaging indeed from the Tyrrell team up at the front end of the field as Frentzen continues to march forward. Hakkinen 2nd, Warwick 3rd, Nannini, Patrese, Capelli, Larini, Alboreto, Gugelmin and Fernandez, with Giovanni Aloy's McLaren running in 11th place ahead of Piercarlo Ghinzani in the Zack-Speed. Then it's Giacomelli's Lola. The 2 Ferraris, Stefano Modena and Gianni Morbidelli, reliable but not as fast as they needed to be. And Katayama and Suzuki are the 2 Japanese drivers running at the tail end of the field.
Yes, Ferrari may be struggling, but the Italian fans do have something to shout about. We've got 5 Italian drivers in the top 10 places at the moment.
That's a very solid point and well observed. Nannini, Patrese, Capelli all in that top 6. Larini and Alboreto still looking good for points as well. As Derek Warwick runs in a very solid 3rd position. They go through Maggots and Beckett's as Larini is attacking the Lola to lap it. No problem at all there. Yet another solid drive from Nicola Larini, who's been incredibly quick this season and is definitely a candidate for a top drive in 1991. Here's Modena and Morbidelli. They can't seem to race with the front runners, so they can race each other. That seems to be the way the Ferrari boys are running today. If there are a few more retirements, they might still pick up a point or 2 as Gugelmin struggles to get on terms there with Alboreto in the arrows. And across the line again, a few of the cars have come through. So the battle is raging as they run through on the far side. Alboreto, he's had a bit of a topsy-turvy season as Michele Alboreto, and he's being upstaged a few times by his young Mexican teammate. That's not going to do his ego any good.
Tyrrell team principal Sam Hall's been reading his statistics book again. If Frentzen hangs on to win this, he'll be the first German to win a Grand Prix since Jochen Mass in 1975 at Montjuic Park in the McLaren.
So here's Warwick, and he's caught up to Hakkinen's Brabham. So they're going to be side by side nearly as they come down the straight. This is where the race battle can be won or lost. If there's anything to happen to the Tyrrell up in front, these guys still need to keep pushing. They're closing up on the Zack-Speed. Can Warwick box in Hakkinen? No, he can't. So he has to hang back in 3rd position. But Warwick is giving it everything he's got. He's having the race of his life at Silverstone.
He really is. And the wonderful British fans are in full voice for him as well. They haven't got Nigel Mansell to cheer on, of course. So Derek Warwick is the man they're cheering for. But he's been impeded there briefly by a back marker. I think that was, yes, it was Ghinzani has held up Warwick there. That's allowed Hakkinen to get away a little.
It's got him away to the tune of 3 seconds, so Warwick's going to be absolutely livid with Ghinzani there. And Derek Warwick is now going to have to do a lot of that hard work all over again. If you're Mika Hakkinen, it's an absolute godsend. And here comes Morbidelli on the inside of his teammate Stefano Modena. So Morbidelli and Modena trying to uphold the honour of the Scuderia. But Nigel Mansell will, of course, return to the team at the Hungarian Grand Prix. So it's not going to be too long for him being on the sidelines. And here is the arrows of Adrian Fernandez, having had a brilliant run at the start of the race. Then he spun under pressure. And he's now got the fellow Mexican behind him. These two would have grown up on the racetrack together, Giovanni Aloy and Adrian Fernandez. So they'll know each other probably better than we know Giovanni Aloy. Here's Gugelmin trying to make his bid on Michele Alboreto.
Been trying to do that for about the last 3 or 4 laps, possibly longer, chasing down the footwork arrows. As always, a reliable midfield team. Here is Mika Hakkinen rather on his own in second place now. Yes, 3 seconds up on Derek Warwick. That cost him dear, getting balked at the Woodcote Complex by Piercarlo Ginzani in the Zach Speed, who was doing a decent job running in 12th place. Usualmin has another run as they come down the straight there. Again, Alboreto holds him off. It's the battle for 8th place. Here's our race leader. Heinz Harald Frentzen, 32.8 seconds. His lead over Mika Hakkinen with 15 laps to go.
Can Frentzen genuinely get this job done? 15 laps remain for the Tyrrell before he can have... This is going to be the first season, I think, since 1976 when we've had 2 different race winners in one season for Tyrrell. That would be absolutely fantastic. As Morbidelli's got a problem. You can see there's something wrong with the wheel. Loose wheel. So Morbidelli's Ferrari is coming to a stop. He can't get it back to the pits as it's happened at the worst possible time. So Morbidelli in the Ferrari is going to pull off and out of the race. That's unfortunate, but that probably puts a bit of a nail on the head there for the Ferrari team.
That sadly just about sums up their day. Great shame for Ferrari. A team in a lot of turmoil at the moment. The longest running Grand Prix team of all. And Gianni Morbidelli out of the Grand Prix.
Well, by 33 seconds, Frentzen is controlling the pace in that Tyrrell. There's Derek Warwick. He's having another crack at the Brabham. But then Nannini is not far away in the Benetton either. So he's got a good chance of grabbing a podium in this one. Here's Hakkinen in the Brabham. Alain Prost couldn't get it to the end, but Hakkinen might.
Warwick actually took half a second out of him on that last lap.
He certainly did. Warwick is really pushing. He seems to be making the tyres of the Lotus work better than the Brabham can under the tutelage of Mika Hakkinen. So it's fascinating to see just how much he's able to get out of it. 16 cars remaining, 10 retirements. Gasho in the Coloni, Winkelhock in the Zach Speed, Cheever in the Ligier, Piquet's Benetton, Senna's McLaren, Prost's Brabham, Alesi in the Tyrrell, Boutsen in the Williams, De Cesaris in the Lotus, and Gianni Morbidelli now in the Ferrari. So retirements all the way through the field as Frentzen continues to control the pace of this race. He's on lap 52 of 65, 14 to go, and the German is a rising star in the making, and certainly, based on this performance, a future world champion as he tries not to trip over the Leighton House coming out of the final corner. And here he comes to the first corner. It's Capelli in P6, so he shouldn't give too much trouble to Frentzen. Indeed, he does not, and gets through without major problems.
Guzman's got ahead of Alboreto, meanwhile, further back. He's finally made that move stick up into 8th position. Here's Hakkinen, and Warwick is definitely closing. 2.3 seconds is now the gap. He's grinding it down slowly but surely to try and catch the fin for that second place.
Yeah, Warwick is definitely being pushed on by people power, isn't he? The British fans are giving him everything they need to push him forward as they come across the line. 53rd lap of this British Grand Prix. It's a very short race, as we mentioned. It's one of the shortest on the calendar because of how fast the circuit is here at Silverstone. 65 laps, but that doesn't take much longer than an hour to get us through the British Grand Prix. So it's going to be a nice early bar for everybody, but Warwick is pushing hard. You can hear the tyres chirping away as he tries to get off the power a little bit earlier than Hakkinen did, and he has got that gap down to 2 seconds as into another lap goes Heinz-Harald Frentzen. 12 to go in the British Grand Prix of 1990. Can Tyrrell win the British Grand Prix for the first time since 1973 and the great Jackie Stewart?
Well, it'll be a big party for Ken Tyrrell and his team, I'm sure, if they do. The new sponsor as well, the Red Bull energy drink. I think they're going to expand their motorsport program in years to come as well. They're hugely enthusiastic in the paddock so far in the 1990 season. There is Warwick. He's got the gap down to 2 seconds. No, it's less than that now. I think 2 seconds is the gap as he comes across the line there to Mika Hakkinen. But you'll have to watch out because Nannini is only 1.4 seconds behind him in the Benetton as well.
So here's Alboreto. Closing up on Gujamin at the best he can. Oh, is Warwick in trouble? I think Warwick's in trouble. A puncture. Oh, no. A puncture for Warwick. Oh, no. And the British crowd's heart plunges as Derek Warwick cannot get the Lotus back to the pits. His brilliant drive that so easily could have been a fight for victory at one stage in the Grand Prix. Derek Warwick in the Lotus pulls the car to the outside, and there's no points for Lotus after a solid effort. So, again, Warwick is denied a great finish here, and that has really hampered a good chance for him in the championship. But then again, That's Berger and Warwick failing to score. Alesi failing to score. So the championship contenders at the front end of the field are scoring very little. There may be an interesting review ahead of the German Grand Prix about how things are currently faring in the championship. Here's Nannini closing up on Hakkinen.
Just keeping an eye on championship contenders. This could play into the hands of Riccardo Patrese if he can catch Nannini here and try and get onto the podium. He is second in the points. That'll certainly close the gap on Gerhard Berger at the top. Hakkinen second is, let's have a look at the gap back to Nannini. 2.3 seconds is the gap now. Patrese, the only other car on the lead lap. Capelli is now fifth. Larini sixth. He's going well. Then Gugelmin, Alvareto Fernandez, and could we have two Mexican drivers in the points? I think that would be a first for Formula One.
So Fredson holds the advantage. He's doing everything right at the moment. 10 laps to go in the Tyrrell. Hakkinen second, Nannini third, Patrese and Capelli in the top five. Fredson has lapped everybody up to Patrese in P4. I know this is a very much a shorter layout, and the Honda engine just keeps going, but we've seen for Prost that it's gone, and we've seen for the Williams driver Thierry Boutsen that it's gone, and we've seen it several times this year for Hakkinen that it has gone as well, so it's not all done yet for Tyrrell, but the British fans can sense that with 3 British teams on the podium, they can at least take some pleasure out of the remaining result of the British Grand Prix. So it's going to be fascinating as far as championship ramifications are concerned. But for everything else, it's looking pretty interesting. There's Fredson running well at the front end of the field. The Tyrrell Honda going strong with its new super cheap and Red Bull insignia. And as they come down the hangar straight once again, it's going to be a phenomenal battle into the Stowe corner once again. And with 9 laps remaining in this 1990 British Grand Prix, it may not be the result that everybody expected, but then 1990 as a whole has not played out how anyone expected, really. So the battle is very interesting.
It's not over yet. The gap is coming down between Hakkinen and Nannini, as well. And Patrese in the pits.
Electrical problem for Patrese. And someone with an engine failure of some kind. I saw something billowing out of the back of somebody's car. It's Giacomelli. Giacomelli's on fire in the Lola. So Patrese's had to pit with an electrical problem. And Giacomelli is on fire. So this is not good news. Well, there's only 2 teams this really is good news for, actually. McLaren, because Eloy has just got into the pits. And Ferrari, because Modena is actually getting closer to the points.
Gap, as I was saying there, has come down between Hakkinen and Nannini as well. We need to keep an eye on that. Capelli is now up to 4th and Larini is 5th. Patrese, we'll wait and see if he makes it back out. I think he's come back out in 6th place.
So he's behind the Leighton House. Yeah, there he goes. He's behind the Leighton House of Capelli and behind the Ligier of Nicola Larini. So another strong result for Leighton House is in the offing. Giacomelli's car is to the side of the racetrack now. You can see that with 8 laps to go. Hakkinen is being caught very quickly indeed by Alessandro Nannini in the Benetton. And there is Giovanni Alloy in the McLaren pulling off the side of the road. There's Hakkinen and Nannini. There you go. There's the battle for second place between these two. I'm afraid to say that the marshals are not quite able to get over to Giacomelli's car at this moment. So the Italians' Lola burning to a crisp at the side of the racetrack. This is not good news. There it is. You can see the fire still burning strong in the back of the Lola LaRousse. But for some reason, Giacomelli's car is still ablaze there. I don't quite know why the marshals aren't able to get to it, but certainly for Giacomelli, it's a very tough day at the office. Hakkinen versus Nannini, though, going strong for P2.
And certainly are, yes, Nannini. There's enough time as well. There's about 6 more laps to go. Meanwhile, Patrese moving up onto the back of Nicola Larini now for 5th position, trying to recover after that momentary electrical problem. A quick reset in the pits, and he's having a go up the inside. Won't quite get through there at Stowe. Great run by even Capelli. He's had a consistent day. He's under fire. Larini's going to have a go at him now. Gets the nose chopped there as they come down towards Bridge out of Club Corner. Great fights here. 2 great fights in the closing stages of this British Grand Prix.
14 cars still running. Plenty of battles still going on. Hakkinen versus Nannini's getting pretty close as well. Nannini in the Benetton's having a go. So Alessandro Nannini trying to get into second place behind Mika Hakkinen in the Brabham. And Alessandro Nannini's got a good chance here to battle with the Finn as we ride on board through the left-hand flick. And Nannini has to back off the charge. So Häkkinen still remains in P2. What about the battle further back for fourth? Because that's going strong. Capelli's got Patrese right underneath him. He tucks back in. Larini's got a chance on the switchback. Larini now down the hanger straight. Has got a chance of taking past the Williams. He's not quite been able to do so yet, but he tucks back in again. And Larini now has to try and fight back as Patrese has another crack at Ivan Capelli. Will he get through? No! And that's going to hold them both up. Larini's going to have another go at it.
This is terrific racing in the closing stages here at Silverstone. They're going to fight right to the checkered flag. He tries again there, Patrese on the back of Capelli. Can't quite get him as they come out of club down towards the bridge, then up to the Woodcote complex. It is still the Leighton House ahead of the Williams, then the Ligier showing rejuvenated form here once again in that 6th place. Still Häkkinen holding off Nannini further up the road. They are still nose to tail as well. Frentzen wondering where everybody else is, probably behind him as Patrese to the inside of Capelli. Was there contact there? Capelli runs wide. It's not the first time he's done that there, and again he's held the place.
So Capelli holds fourth for the moment from Patrese and Larini. Nannini trying again at Häkkinen, and here's Larini having a crack at Patrese on the inside line. He has to think better of it once more. But Patrese, he's got a chance here. Sorry, Dave.
Larini dropping away a couple of car lengths there. Here comes Patrese again alongside down the hanger straight. Surely this time he's got him. Yes, he's up in the 4th place.
Well, that's a bit of a hammer blow for Capelli, but it's great news for Larini because that's going to mean the momentum will be with the Ligier as Häkkinen runs in P2. Nannini's still there in 3rd, trying to get one more position on the podium away from the Finn. So the battle's still raging everywhere you look around the circuit. And this is going to be a tough battle for Häkkinen to hang on to in 2nd place, but he has won a Grand Prix this year. It's not like he doesn't understand what pressure is and how to soak it up. Nannini doing a great job on his return. So there's going to be some fascinating battles heading into the closing 4 laps of this Grand Prix as Frentzen has 4 laps to go here in the British Grand Prix before he can be the fastest Grand Prix winner ever. He laps Stefano Modena for the 2nd time. And the Tyrrell is going great guns up in front here. Heinz-Harald Frentzen having a great race. Larini is not done with Capelli.
Yes, he'll try him here down into Stowe Corner. He's got a good run on him down the hanger straight. Patrese has pulled away in front. He's back to where he was before that momentary problem. And again, Capelli later on the brakes. He's so strong under braking, that Leighton House. The other Leighton House closing up. Look at Gugelmin closing up in 7th place as well.
To be fair, he's not a million miles away, is he? As Frentzen comes out of Luffield and out of Woodcote Corner. 3 laps to go for the Tyrrell team. They're starting to cross fingers now because as long as everything holds together for Heinz-Harald Frentzen, there's going to be 15 points on the board for the German and for the Tyrrell team as well in what is turning into a thrilling season. So this is an absolutely thrilling battle. Now, Giancarlo Baghetti, of course, won on his Grand Prix debut, but that was as an official Formula 1 World Championship race. So, an interesting one, because Baghetti didn't win on his Grand Prix debut. He won on his Formula 1 official World Championship debut, Giancarlo Baghetti, 1961. So, in terms of Formula 1 records, he will still hold that accolade. But in terms of the reality of racing in Grand Prix racing, this is only Frentzen's 2nd Grand Prix. And if he could get that job done, it would be a mammoth result for Frentzen.
It certainly would, yes. Still the battle is raging for 2nd place, though. There's only 3 cars on the lead lap, of course. Patrese now pulling away from Capelli. Now, they're side by side, almost coming down in the Stowe Corner. Look at this, Nannini to the inside. Ooh, that was close. Häkkinen holds it on the outside. But Nannini will try again as they come up towards Club Corner. He goes to the inside. Again, Häkkinen holds him off.
On the slipstream, Nannini has a great chance, but they get to the corner before Nannini can really throw it up the inside. And then when he gets alongside Häkkinen's car, there isn't enough horsepower in the Ford engine to really draw level. So that's where he's ending up basically at stalemate through this race. Here's Frentzen, a lap and a half to go in the British Grand Prix. Surely the German is safe and sound now out in front, 40 seconds clear of Häkkinen and Nannini. But then we saw, didn't we, at the Canadian Grand Prix at Montreal, Senna was so close. He was so close, and it went all right.
Sam Hall and the Tyrrell pit will have no fingernails left by now.
Well, wouldn't it be amazing for him to get 2 different winners in one season? As into the last lap goes Heinz-Harald Frentzen.
A wonderful drive. He's dominated this race from the beginning, along with teammate John Alesi, but Alesi, of course, out of the race. A lot of drivers with hard luck stories today, but Frentzen just needs to play it cool now. Nannini's certainly not playing it cool. He's still throwing everything he's got at Mika Häkkinen for that second place. They're coming up to a back marker as well. This could be interesting. The Lola, they're ahead of them of Aguri Suzuki in 14th.
Fourth position on the starting grid, the young German star in his second Grand Prix for Tyrrell in 1990. He launched forward into the lead and has never looked back since. In terms of his on-track position, he's never lost the lead, and now Heinz-Harald Frentzen is coming through in the final sector of the 1990 British Grand Prix. It's been an amazing performance from the young German, and he will take victory in spectacular fashion. Heinz-Harald Frentzen comes out of Woodcote, and he wins the 1990 British Grand Prix for Tyrrell, their first win at the British Grand Prix for 17 years.
Absolutely superb from young Heinz-Harald Frentzen. He is certainly one to watch in the future of Grand Prix racing, and they're still battling for second place. They're coming up on the Lola there. Häkkinen has got through. I don't think Nannini's going to do it. No, he's not going to get past the Lola in time. Young Mika Häkkinen, already a winner this season at the San Marino Grand Prix. Looks like he's going to hang on for that second place. They're 40 seconds behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen. He's already celebrating out towards Woodcote for the last time. Häkkinen is going to hang on for Martini Brabham for second place. And Alessandro Nannini, his first podium since his victory at the Japanese Grand Prix last year. He'll be pleased with that.
Fabulous racing, brilliant performances and brilliant display. But it's this man, Heinz-Harald Frentzen of Germany, who becomes the latest Grand Prix winner in Formula One for Tyrrell. And what an exceptional display it has been. He becomes the 7th different winner in 8 races this year. And that is a phenomenal display from him. Here's the final result. Heinz-Harald Frentzen wins for Tyrrell Honda with Mika Häkkinen second and Alessandro Nannini in third. Patrese is fourth from Capelli, Gugelmin, Laridi, Alboreto, Fernandez. And the final point goes to McLaren and Giovanni Aloy, the Mexican. Then Piercarlo Ghinzani and Stefano Modena in the Ferrari. Ukyo Katayama and Aguri Suzuki are your final finishers. Then come the retirements, and they were many and plentiful. Giacomelli, Derek Warwick cruelly robbed of a podium with a puncture. Morbidelli's Ferrari, De Cesaris with a blown engine. Boutsen likewise. Alesi spun off while battling for the lead. Prost also out with an engine failure. Senna with a broken gearbox. Piquet, broken suspension. Shiva, Winkelhock and Gasho all out of the race as well. But Frentzen has been flawless throughout. Fastest lap of the race too. And it really has been astonishing from him today. He's been absolutely flawless and a great victory. 7 different winners from 8 races though, Dave. This championship is not even at fever pitch yet.
It is absolutely crazy. It's brilliant, really entertaining, but so unpredictable.
And I tell you what it also means as well is that we essentially have a second half of the championship which is open for grabs. There's still plenty of people who can battle for it, and we know that there is going to be a team meeting that will take place before the German Grand Prix, so that is going to be an interesting discussion to be part of. Let's talk to some of the team managers in the mix. Michael Gillespie of the Minardi team. We talk to him very regularly. Unfortunately, you don't massively have a lot to talk about today because the Minardis didn't quite go the distance this time.
It was looking promising with front row in pre-qualifying, and we didn't get the start we wanted from Martini. He just bogged down, and then he had a engine failure. I don't know, a third of the way through the race, and then Sundal, I think he had a little contact with Winkelhock at turn 1, and I'm not saying that could contribute to his failure, but it's just one of those. It's just one of those weekends for us. It's disappointing, but we'll move on and regret from this.
Well, with Germany being a power circuit again, how confident are you that things can get back together again for Hockenheim?
Well, judging by this, tracks are very similar. I mean, you're in the throttle a lot, and I'm not holding up much hope, but for that. But well, there's always optimism. I'm optimistic for the next round. Obviously, we're always to be the best we can given the situations, and the situation wasn't good today. But the only way is up for us now.
Okay, great to hear from you, Michael. Thanks very much for talking to us. Good stuff. Let's have a word with Ryan Ferris of the Lotus team. Ryan, today was such a good opportunity for Derek Warwick. Could even have been a victory today. It certainly looks as though the team's motivation is high. It just needs a bit more luck.
Been very disappointing, to be honest. For Derek, he was driving a superb race once again, but 3 races in a row he's gone out due to a puncture. So I don't know if we need to be having talks with Goodyear. Are they giving us dodgy batches of tyres, or is it just really unlucky to have these sort of problems? And also De Cesaris putting on a very good race again. He was showing that he was definitely fast and that he definitely has the potential to be staying in that seat for next season. But there's quite a few positives to take, even though the overall effect was fairly negative.
Well, obviously what this means now, of course, is that you have a strong car for Germany. Do you think you'll have a reliable one?
Well, that's the thing. We're not sure. Obviously, like you said, we've got a fast car, and it definitely has potential of going on the podium. It's just the reliability, and as always, a little bit of luck. And we just need that bit of luck for Germany. Okay,
thanks for catching up with us, Ryan. Good to talk as always. Let's have a quick word with Topher Smith of the Williams team. The team were almost conspicuous by their absence in the early stages. Solid consistency for Boutsen and Patrese as always, but Patrese bagging a reasonable finish, but Boutsen robbed. Was that a race that Williams was always destined to fail to win?
To be completely honest with you, Jake, given the speed that the Red Bull Tyrrell team has today, especially in the hands of Heinz-Harald Frentzen, I don't think anyone else was going to win the race today. It was an absolutely fantastic showing from Frentzen, and we applaud him for his efforts. But as for our own race, it was a shame that Boutsen went out earlier on, so he had the potential to get another podium. Patrese, he put in a good race as well. He was bulked down a bit by the electrical problem he had late on, but he did well to recover through the field back up to 4th place again. It's some solid points for him, and I don't think we can be too disappointed today. We still brought home some points. The car's still quick. We just need a little bit more reliability, but I think we can be happy with today.
So obviously now, having had a win this year, there is obviously still more to do. You're focusing on the Jordan project. What is likely to be the case when we go into the second half of the year for Williams? Can you guys still mount a title attack?
Well, there is a Jordan project that is in the back of my mind, but that is very much the focus for 1991. At this moment in time, my focus is still on the Williams team itself. We are still looking to get better, to get faster, and I'm going to give it my all to make sure that we can win more races.
Sounds reasonable to me. Thanks very much indeed, Topher. We'll catch up with you. Good stuff.
Thank you.
And the final interview we have time for is with the Tyrrell squad, Sam Hall, and another fantastic victory, the 3rd of the season for the team. Canada was lucky. Obviously, Mexico was glorious. What about Britain? This is a very big day for the team, surely.
Yeah, this is exactly the same as the Mexican Grand Prix for Jean Lacey. I mean, in Mexico, Jean won by 11 seconds, but had to stop with a 27-second lead, and now today we win by over 40 seconds in Frentzen's 2nd F1 Grand Prix. I mean, we can't speak highly enough of him. We announced after about 10-12 laps of him racing for us last weekend that he would be carrying on for the rest of the season, and I think this result has showed that we were justified in our decision. I can't speak highly enough of the guy today.
So, I believe he's got some more news following the podium that's just taken place as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure who's released it yet, but apparently his girlfriend Karina, he's popped the question, and I hear it's positive news, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I've not had it confirmed to me. But yeah, apparently our press officers said something about that. So
fabulous.
Yes, I await to be given a glass of champagne when I arrive downstairs, or a bottle. Just a bottle and a straw will do. We're not worried about class down in the garage.
No, fair enough. I mean, obviously now we go to Hockenheim. Again, it's all about high speed, fast straights. Is there going to be enough consistency in the Tyrrell package to get another victory on the board?
Yeah, another power circuit. Mexico was the power circuit. We were doing well in France at Paul Ricard until reliability problems struck. On paper, it should be a good track for us. In reality, I mean, we've seen that reliability problems can hit absolutely anyone. I mean, McLaren, for Senna, just, again, dreadful luck. I think he was on a one stop, so he would have been in the mix. I don't think he would have been beaten Frentzen today, but he would have been in the mix, certainly for a podium. So, and yeah, I know he's not here at the moment, but to Brabham, to you and Gail, great performance from Hakkinen again. I think he's second in the championship now, and we're looking more at the constructors. He's looking more at the drivers. So, for both of our sort of big name teams, or historic name teams, if you like, it's been a good weekend for us.
Fantastic stuff. Congratulations, and a brilliant result for Tyrrell again with another victory. Well done. Well, I guess that's pretty much the time to wrap it up. Dave Goddard, we can talk about Ligier as well, because a top 5 finish for the Ligier team today. Brilliant performance there from Nicola Larini, and you guys must be pretty happy.
Yes, Nicola loved it. Every second of it, battling with the Leighton houses in particular today, and it certainly makes up for the disappointment of our home race at Paul Ricard. It's great to have the Pringles Ligier team back in the points once again. Eddie Cheever struggling a bit. He needs a bit of a boost to his morale, I think, but still the sponsors are happy. Pringles sales going up all the time in Europe. They've come over from the US this year, of course, to expand their business, and the new snack foods certainly sold plenty at Silverstone today, I'm told, which is great to hear, and some great racing from Nicola and the Ligier team as well. The Renault engine certainly improving all the time too.
Fantastic. Looking forward to a brilliant end to the season as we go into the second half. The German Grand Prix is next, but with a team meeting imminent, and Nigel Mansell set to return from injury in a couple of races' time. The crazy 1990 season is still what it is, but it's only getting more interesting as each development is thrown at us. I'm Jake Sanson. We hope you've enjoyed the coverage for the 1990 British Grand Prix. Monday will greet us with another brilliant race, the German Grand Prix from Hockenheim. See you then.